What's up, everybody? Waiting for Sean to come back. There he goes. He's all blurry. I think he's still muted.
Yep.
There we go. There we go. Well, I guess while we're waiting for some folks to get in the room, I'm going to go ahead and share out the show. Let everybody know we're live. Mr. Nope, what's up, buddy?
Perfect. You'll get to do exactly what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I got something I'm doing just especially for you. Let's see. Okay. Wow, we already had 9 likes. Very nice. I'm sharing this out right now, folks. We'll get started. Mr. Note first in the room, though. Oh, there we go. Make two. How we doing, boss? All right.
I think that's all the sharing I can do for now.
Yeah. Oh, it's good. I'm bragging vicariously through you, Mr. Nope. Vicariously through you, I'm gonna brag. So, man, first of all, it's been a hell of a week already. I know, Sean, you were under the weather last week. Triple B, what's up, boss? How you feeling, man?
Better. I probably didn't start feeling 100% until maybe Thursday. And a lot of that was still because I just couldn't get sleep. Like I told you, the one day I finally fell asleep, dude came knocking on my door at 11 a.m. I'm like, bro, I got to work.
Yeah.
So please leave me alone. But no, I'm good. I'm finally back, ready to go. But a little bit of a wake-up call, You ignore your body long enough, your body will come back and kick your ass a little bit.
Yeah. Well, now that we finally have you on here,
Yeah.
my goodness, I can finally do this and ask you, and I will ask the chat again once we hear from you, your thoughts on Absolute Batman.
This book was insane. And it was one of those where I don't have a ton of experience reading Scott stuff. I have some, but I'm not as well versed like you and Jenna are when it comes to reading Scott's stories. So I forgot how good he is with pacing because he sets the book up so nicely. I think in those first, say, 4-5ish pages. And then once you really dive into the story, it is balls to the wall from there. And what he did with the origin story, the way Batman is, he's not a millionaire, but he's still Bruce Wayne at the core. And then the big twist with Alfred, that's the one I did not see coming. I did not see what they were going to do with Alfred with this. This is one I'm 100% on board. I think I was so shocked by it. I know you were touting it. You were touting it all week. And I was like, is it really this good? I was like, all right. So, yeah, the hype is real, folks. To follow it up, and I'm not going to sit here and go into a review of the next one, but Wonder Woman was just as good.
I was going to read that before the show. Hey, Randy, thanks for showing up. Yes, now we really can begin. I was going to read it before the show, but ended up eating, so didn't get a chance to read it yet. I will be reading it after the show, though. There was a lot of folks that weren't really wild about what they did with Alfred, and I kind of get it, but at the same time, Alfred to me in a lot of stories has had that not trying to fight. Somebody told me last week what it was, but it's like military, like kind of a military spy kind of thing to him.
Right. And they've leaned into that a lot, it feels like, in the last, decade?
Yeah.
With him, especially on TV. He had that show Pennyworth.
Mm-hmm.
The Alfred, I think, on Gotham was former military, if I remember right. So they've been leaning a lot in, but it makes a lot of sense when you think of how he's been over the years. You're not just a butler and you're a bit of a tech genius at the same time. So that's just my thoughts on it.
That is awesome. Liked it so much you purchased an NYCC cover. That's awesome. I haven't even seen what those look like.
Neither have I. I didn't even know they did an NYCC exclusive.
Oh well, the NYCC gets literally everything.
Well, true. I mean, it's like it's them and pretty much it's them in San Diego. Like those are the big two that get covers.
I just because I want to kind of push them a little bit. I wonder if let me hop back over here real fast. I wonder what kind of exclusives Bird City Comics got. I got to push them. They're a store in Arizona. I don't know if people know about Bird City, but they get some of the coolest exclusives I've ever seen. I got a Trish Forstner Warcorns uh, cover from them, and the Warcorns look like My Little Pony. It's
Oh yeah.
super dope, super dope. And I got I think it was called Kiss Bang Kill Tour. It was a Poison Ivy Harley cover, and I got this shirt. And I probably bugged the hell out of them for a week because I wanted this color, and they were out of it or something.
I
So
want to say that the one website where I found all the covers when I ended up buying us everything had all the exclusives, and I didn't see Bird City on it.
mm,
But then again, I wonder if not every single store in the world gets one.
my
So,
comic shop. Yep. Yes. Nope. Trish is awesome. I got to interview her and Amanda, and I always mess up her last name, Diebert or Dibert, the writer of the Darkwing Duck book. I get to interview them both at the same time, and I was fanboying so hard because I love Trish's cover. If there's a Trish cover when we're doing Minute to Skim It, it's going on the show. I every single time. I love Trish's work, and if you haven't yet, people watching on the rewind, you see Triple B Hardcore Comics, the BBB Hardcore Comics. Make sure you go sub up to him. All right, awesome review. He just did like a 30-hour edit on a review that all of us asked him to do. Watched it all. It was a Halloween one. Halloween comics. Man, he did amazing work. Love watching his stuff. So now that we've talked about Absolute Batman for like the third week in a row, only because you weren't here last week, but I still kind of talked about it because I still dig the suit. The suit is so practical and everything, like the
Yep.
ears being batarangs and like the ends of the cape having the arms because uh, what is it? Bats walk on their hands, so he
Yeah.
uses those as whips. Love everything about the suit. Now that we've talked about Absolute Batman, we have recently gotten in our covers for Absolute Wonder Woman. This is the A cover. And I just think that outside of the foil cover,
This
I'm
is
just
the best one.
I'm just gonna stick with the A's. I've loved both the A's so far, even the Superman one that I've seen.
I wanted to do all Jim Lee, but I just wasn't feeling Jim's cover for this one over the main cover. So I was like, yeah, it's no big deal. So I've got Jim Lee coming for Superman and Batman, but this one I went with this cover. But the foil cover for this thing though is so dope.
Which would be cover E. Now, the picture is definitely brighter than the actual cover,
Yep.
but
These covers are admittedly very hard to kind of capture because the Batman one is super hard to see.
yeah, that's why I just used the League of Comic Geeks cover, so y'all can actually see them. Like
Yeah.
it's darker than this, but it's still so good. And nope, if you ever do, please let me know. Please post that somewhere I can see it because I love Trisha's work. Awesome. Black and white covers. The noise covers. I don't think I've seen those. Huh. Unless you're a victim of autocorrect and you were trying to say something else. But yeah. So Noir. There we get. There we go. Yep. Dude, autocorrect gets us all. Gets us all. But so those were the two covers. Sean actually got a free book. It was a Danger Street book that I have heard of Danger Street, but I haven't read it. And it looks like it was signed by Tom King. That's what the signature looks like on the book.
That'd be dope.
Yeah. So we didn't have a whole lot of books to show off this week. I wanted to pull out because last night on the show on Friday Night Live, Nancy showed these Wildcats covers for number 2, and I actually have both of them. One is a very looks like a prism foily kind of cover, and the other one's just a regular white cover. And I was trying to find those to be like, hey, look, see, I have those, but I couldn't find it. So instead, what I did is, like I said at the beginning, I had something that I'm, vicariously bragging through Mr. Note for. I want to show everybody, if you didn't see Comic Collectibles on Monday, I have to show you this awesome grab that Mr. Nope got. Y'all, I hope y'all are ready for this. I showed this to Sean, and Sean was like, "Oh, that's cool." And I said, "Yeah, that's a sketch." And he was like, "Nah." I was like, "Yeah, this was a sketch. Look at that, folks."
I'm just saying, Mr. Nope, if that book comes up missing, don't come looking for me.
But
good God, that's so cool.
This was in the thumbnail. Like we were still doing our car stuff that day. So when I got back, I was able to watch a little bit of the show before I hopped back on to work. And this was in the thumbnail for the show. This didn't last till like the next book. I think they showed one more book and Nope grabbed it. And I was like, dude, this is the grab of the freaking show right here.
Yeah.
So, and I kept telling him, I was like, man, so some of you might remember that Corey had got me a book that I showed off last week. What I forgot to mention was that much like this one, it was not exact. It was kind of a sketch cover, but I think it was painted. So it wasn't like I said Dan Neidlinger did the art. I don't mean he was the cover artist. What I mean is he actually, I want to say, painted that Joker. So if you hadn't seen the Joker cover, I put it away like a dummy because I'm trying to get my stuff organized. So if I want to show you all things, I actually know where it's at. So I put it away, and I was like, man, I was going to find it before the show and forgot about it. But if you go to last week's episode, you'll see it. And the thing is amazing. And Nope, when you get this, man, let us know. Whether it's through here or through the experience, let us know if you framed it or what you did with it. Jessica's art, and I told her this on Instagram. Let me play John Cole here for a second. On Instagram, I was like, she had it was a Pharaoh cover she had put up, with it was a They Live homage. And I was like, look, this cover is awesome. But that Batman Beyond Reverse Flash you did, every time I think there's no way she can get better. She proves me wrong every single time. Like, this does not look like a sketch. This looks like a printed cover. And it's insane. So, man, and you're absolutely right, Nope. The organization battle is everlasting. I went through some stuff the other day, and like I was trying to put my runs and stuff together and all that stuff, and I just gotten through like 3 boxes, and I was like, wow, I still have like 4 long boxes and like 9 short boxes, not including all the trays of my books on the shelves. I want to see. I want to start getting those too. I'm not big into slabs. Like if I get a slab as a gift, cool. But I really want to try those comic capsules because I have some books I'd like to hang up on the wall.
Like I'll buy a book that's already slabbed, but I'm not slabbing anything that I own.
Yeah.
I think I just rather get the comic capsule because to me it's like no offense to CGC and what is it CBCS or whatever the other one's called. No offense, guys, it's not worth the $50 for you to tell me something on a book. So,
Well,
but like I don't have a problem getting something. I've got my two over here, but if it's already slabbed and it's a cover I really like, sure, okay, that's fine.
yeah. Like to each their own when it comes to the slab stuff. Me, I'm not into the slabs. I'd rather, crack the book open and read it. But also most of the time I get an issue or two or something and then I'm just going for the trade. So I just read it.
Of course, as we say that, we have an entire box at your house of stuff that has almost never been opened.
That's true. I still have some stuff in the cellophane.
Yeah, there you go. Like pretty much metal covers. I'm like, barely even touch those.
Yeah.
I've never even opened the 4 metal covers I got for Grandma Chainsaw 3.
Oh, wow.
I've never taken them out of the plastic, I think. What's up, Eddie?
Hail the Trivia King and happy birthday, Lorena.
Oh, happy birthmas.
While you're playing COD, clap many cheeks and take many domes.
Yes. I was playing that this morning before I went to bed, actually, since they got it on Game Pass now. I was like, well, why not? I ain't going to pay for the thing to check it out. Well, technically, I guess I am, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
But for anybody who's interested in COD, the way they do it now, and I wish they would kind of do this with Gears, it's all one big giant hub. So you're not downloading each game necessarily. So you can play almost every Call of Duty, and it's right there in the hub. You just select it. And the only thing you got to download maybe is like multiplayer. But you can play all the campaigns, and it's one singular download. So I think that's cool because it allows me to switch back and forth. I've been playing Modern Warfare 3 and the new one, Black Ops 6.
Oh, before we go into our main topic of the Arrowverse stuff, Johnny Dome, I am also getting more excited with everything I'm seeing from Superman. Like it's Superman, I was gonna see it anyway. I was excited anyway, but the more news I'm seeing on it, the more excited I'm getting for it as well. So the hype is starting to overtake me, and I'm really looking forward to next year, next July. I'm really looking forward to it.
It's one of those things. Like I'm still not in love with the suit, but David does look good in the suit.
Oh,
like, he looks like Superman. I will definitely say that for him.
I will give him that too, but I will die on the hill. Even when the movie comes out, I don't like the suit, and that's fine. The suit's not going to make or break the movie for me. It's how the character's going to be portrayed.
Yep.
And who knows? That could not just be the only suit. He could eventually get a new suit. Who knows? But the suit's not going to break the movie for me. But I'm in the camp of I don't like the suit. If people love the suit, I'm glad. That means they have found their Superman, and that's the big thing that I've always wanted. I want people to find their version of Superman, to love Superman like I love Superman. So if there's somebody out there who's like, that's the coolest costume ever and I love it, amazing. Amazing. That's everything I could ask for.
Pretty much.
Now, we're gonna talk about the Arrowverse. And full disclosure to everyone, I have not seen every single episode in the Arrowverse. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you I've watched literally everything, but we've watched a good chunk of it.
Yep.
So like I think we've watched all of Arrow.
Yep.
I have watched uh, a season of Black Lightning, 2 seasons of Legends of Tomorrow, 4 seasons of Flash, maybe 5. So I haven't watched everything. Right now, I'm in the process of, as much as I don't like doing it, the CW app, because we don't multicast, or I think that's what they call it, whatever they call it, where they put it on Max and it's on the CW the next day or something like that. They
Yeah.
don't do that for Superman and Lois, and that's I've been watching it. Just every time I'm like, oh, there's a new episode, I go to the CW app, I watch the commercials, and that show is just amazing. That is, and nope, that is true. And yes, Jenna loved Black Lightning. She was just wrecked when it got canceled. She loved that show. But the shows, when we start back with we start all the way back with Arrow. Now, some people here, maybe not all you, but I know at least one person here watched Smallville. And for me, Smallville is a show that not only do I love it and I can go back and watch it and I own it. We own it and we can watch it on streaming. I do it like once every couple years. I sit there and watch them. I feel like if it hadn't been for the success of Smallville, we might not have gotten Arrow. And then when we got Arrow, I had to. It took me a minute because I was like, "Oh, cool, Justin Hartley. Justin Hartley's going to be Green Arrow in his own series." And then I was shown Stephen Amell, and I first saw Stephen Amell, and I was like, "Isn't that Travis from Blue Mountain State?" That was my first thought, and the dude had only been in like an episode or two. But man, got excited. It was a darker take on Green Arrow. I am in the camp of I like archers. Like Hawkeye. Yet there was Aquaman did. That was the funny thing. I almost forgot that. Jenna pointed it out. So they decided after they did an Aquaman episode with Alan Richson, they were going to do one about Aquaman, but it was Justin Hartley, and they only did the one episode, and then they scrapped it. You could find it on one of the DVDs. It was a really good episode. It had Ving Rhames in it, Lou Diamond Phillips, and
I don't
Johnny
think
Gunn. We started watching Krypton.
Krypton is good.
Krypton was good, but it's one of those shows that for whatever reason, sci-fi. I think it was on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
There's something about Sci-Fi that unless you're Warehouse 13, you don't get very many seasons. So it was good. I would suggest, if you can find a way to watch it, to give it a shot.
Yeah. I think it's on Max. It's on one of the streaming services because I found it. And then Mr. Nope, I don't think Greg Berlanti was part of Smallville. I think his big thing was he came in with Arrow and started that deal.
I think Smallville was, I want to say like Goff and Miller.
I think you're right. I can't remember. I'd have to search it. Eureka. So many sci-fi shows. What is it? Eureka. What was the one show that you watched with your dad? Wasn't that a sci-fi show?
Okay. So that I didn't watch that with my dad.
Oh, that's right. You watched it after. It was
My so slight tangent. We'll get back on topic. I promise. So before my dad passed, he was a big fan of Resident Alien.
that one. Okay.
And unfortunately, he passed away before the final, like the season finale of season 1. So after he passed, I was like, if my dad liked this show, there has to be something to it. Because my dad had a very dry sense of humor, and for him to like certain shows, it was like, man, it had to be a good show. So it took me a very long time. I think it was 2 years after he passed, so maybe this past year. And we were in the house. We had just moved here, and Jenna and I watched Resident Alien, and it's a comic book show, so it counts. Not part of the Arrowverse, obviously, but it
Yeah.
counts. Uh, Alan Tudyk is just a national treasure, and if you've read Resident Alien the comic and you were kind of meh on it, watch the show.
Yeah.
If you love the comic, watch the show. We still have some of it left to watch, but it was a very surreal moment because we're sitting there watching it, and the next thing I know, the bottom of the screen says, now playing season 2, episode 1. And for whatever reason, I started bawling. I started bawling because I was like, my dad never got to see that final episode, and I just watched it. So it was a very, very surreal, very bittersweet moment. But I'm glad I finally got into it and finally watched it because it felt like, in a weird way, it felt like my dad was there watching it with me. If that makes any sense. So
Mhm.
it's kind of like me watching it was like my dad got to watch it with me. So very good show though. And yes, yeah, Johnny, George Reeves Superman. You want to talk about a George Reeves Superman fan? Look no further than Eddie Von B there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's his Superman. I love George Reeves. Don't get me wrong, but I can't compete with Ed on that one.
Yeah. That show was really good though. It was super good.
And just a quick reminder, y'all. You see, we have the chat pulled up on the screen. There is a very big lag between the comments y'all are putting in and when it pops up on the screen. So if it feels like we're not getting to you right away or we're like ignoring you, don't worry. We're gonna try to get to your comments. So don't worry, because I see Jenna popping in here with loving Eureka. Absolutely right. Resident Alien. Yep. And if you love the comic, try the show. Yep. Exactly, Ed.
Oh, I'll
But
still go
yeah,
back. I'll still go back and watch George Reeves Superman show.
yeah. Oh,
We sat there just for the heck of it the other morning when I was like, dude, I found all the 1940s cartoons, and I watched the Mummy one
yep.
right there at work because I forgot how short those cartoons were. They were only like 10 minutes.
Mhm. Those are the Max Fleischer cartoons, right?
I think so.
Okay, because I couldn't remember. I can never remember if it's Max Fleischer or Max Fleischman.
I don't know, but you can
But
find like the whole run, and the whole run of the entire thing is only like 2 hours long.
yeah. So let me
Back
go ahead and let me go ahead. Yeah, let go get back on topic. Welcome to the spaghetti bowl of the crazy train we have here.
So as far as what I've watched, because you covered that a second ago,
Hmm.
is of course I've watched all of Arrow with you. I got, I think it was 6.5 seasons into Flash. Whatever season they were in when they did Crisis is when I stopped watching because it got a little ridiculous. Like you, I did 2 seasons of uh, Legends.
Legends.
All of course we're both all of Superman because that show is unbelievable. I have not watched any of Black Lightning. Um, I need to. I watched 3-ish seasons of Supergirl, 2.5 for sure. Um,
I only got the one, maybe part of two, because I think the second season is when Tyler Hoechlin debuted as Superman.
yeah,
Yeah,
see him, and then no, none of Stargirl,
yeah,
all of what is it? The first 2 or 3 seasons of Titans, whatever one where Jason finally becomes Red Hood. I haven't watched yet,
mm.
so I haven't seen that. And then none of Swamp Thing either.
Okay, first of all, Johnny, I'm definitely going to look that up after the show. I have not seen anything like that. Um,
Yeah, the
I just
big.
you talking about toys reminds me. I popped into I can't say his name. Slav's free talk stream when there's a little bit of lull in the show, and Johnny was in there talking about McFarlane toys, and it was a joke, and I thought it was pretty funny.
Nice.
Um, but no, I haven't seen the Superman toy leaks yet.
I haven't
But
seen them, but it was a big deal because some people were like, "Oh, they spoiled who the villain is," and according to Gunn, they're not really spoiling anything. So that tells me he's got a much bigger plan than what has been shown. So that keeps me intrigued.
yeah, now I didn't watch any of Batwoman. I just remembered that.
Oh yeah, Batwoman. I watched most of the first season, and then I didn't watch it after they switched when they had to swap when Ruby Rose left and they had to put in the new actress. So I didn't get a chance to watch her, but I heard she was pretty good. Um, but as far as Ruby Rose's take on her, I actually thought that the show was really good. Actually, she pretty much played her like if you oh god, what is the big Bat Family one that she pops up in the animated universe? There's a couple of them, but she's really good.
Okay, yeah, going back, wrapping it a little bit back to Swamp Thing. There's a lot of shows on the DC Universe app when it was back when they tried to do the DC Universe. I think long before. I think it ended up becoming like they have comics on there now or something. But I think they did that when they had the DC Universe app. Like they had streaming shows, they had comics on there,
Yeah,
had a bunch of stuff.
yeah, because I had it for us for a little bit.
Right. I know people weren't wild about Titans. I get it. Doom Patrol was actually much more like was better received. But the show on there to me that was the best was Swamp Thing. And I was so upset that when before they even released the season, they were like, "Well, we already had to cancel it." Y'all, if y'all want a just horror thriller like kind of comic show, Swamp Thing would be your jam. They ended up putting it on the CW app, which was to me a terrible mistake because that show had to be edited heavily because it's very bloody, very violent. Uh, it was literally the best show I thought they had, and I was like, man, the best show you like. Don't get me wrong, Doom Patrol was good, and I did like Titans. Okay, I did like those shows, but something about Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing was amazing. Derek Mears as Swamp Thing. I think Andy Bean was Alec Holland. It had Abby Abby Arcane was played by she played Sophia Falcone in Gotham. It was amazing. It was such a great show. If you've never watched it and want to see it though, I found it on Tubi, unedited. You only have to do the one to four commercials at the beginning of the episode, and then it just plays right through.
Hmm.
And I was trying to be smart, trying to be quick thinking. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I screen record and play the episodes? So I grab the episodes that way. Yeah, that didn't work. It only recorded the audio. So apparently Tubi has something that stops you from doing that. But it just tells me, okay, you got to watch them on Tubi. So if you have not watched Swamp Thing and looking for a really good horror comic TV show, it's 10 episodes. It does kind of leave off on a cliffhanger that probably make you angry. And yeah, it's just called Swamp Thing. Ed, and yeah, it was the first episode had me hooked, and after that, I was so mad. I was so mad. I was like, this show is so good, and they canceled it, and I was hoping that eventually it would come to Netflix or HBO Max, but then this was before the reboot that we're having. And oh, okay,
Okay,
thank
that's what
you.
it's called now.
Yeah, but it really it's so good. It's so good. It's got the right blend of horror. I mean, it's got Jennifer Beals in it. If for all my Flashdance fans, Jennifer Beals is in it. Uh, yeah, Derek Mears plays Swamp Thing. Triple B, I think you dig it too. Just saying, it's a horror thing. It's not, you know, they like I said, they put it on CW, and if you happen to watch it on CW, it's so edited that it's like watching a regular horror movie on regular TV kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. They go to commercial right at all the good moments.
Yeah, it's so good. This is definitely like out of all I can say this, and this is definitely my opinion. Out of all the shows they put out for the DC universe, that was the top one for me. Deep cuts and one difference about Ultraman. Yeah, definitely after the show, Johnny Dome, I'm gonna look that up. Thank you for letting us know that. But speaking of canceling DC stuff, it feels like after Crisis, all of a sudden the show started getting the axe.
Yeah.
And nope, the the budget that was on that show was pretty good. Like I'll tell you this. Here's what reminded me. I had not forgotten about the show, but the DC like Instagram and you know the regular pages were putting stuff up, and one of them was an autopsy scene. And I got to looking at that date. I was like, y'all are showing something from almost 6 years ago. Like they literally had just posted it that day. And think the thing, but with plants during this scene. I'm telling you, watch the first episode. If you're not hooked, you can come back and tell me, nah, Jay, not for me. And totally cool. But do yourself a favor and watch that first episode at least. I think you're going to be surprised. But yeah, there's it just feels like after, you know, after Crisis, it just felt like I guess that's when CW was making that deal with whoever they made the deal with or whatever. I don't know what was happening, but all of a sudden it's like, well, this show's canceled, and this show's canceled, and this show's canceled.
Yeah. Black Lightning got it first, I think. And then you knew it was bad, though, when they figured that they were going to end Supernatural as well before we got the Supernatural crossover. Oh, there is one other DC Arrowverse show that we have not mentioned in all our discussions even before this. Constantine.
Constantine is another show I got so upset.
They will never find somebody better than Matt Ryan to play him, in my opinion.
And that's why they kept getting him to do the cartoons and everything,
Yeah.
the cartoon movies. Hold on, let's see. Beast Boy show. I'm about to look that up because I don't read a lot of Beast Boy comics. I'm gonna be 100% honest, but I love the character of Beast Boy. So I checked that out. Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing has good CGI. Swamp Thing as a character is not CGI. It is very good practical effects. Like it's a dude in a suit, and the suit looks awesome.
Nice.
I'm telling you, look up pictures of Swamp Thing, and what you see, like the character design, that's how he looks. The character isn't CG. So
Mr. Nope, I think it was a combination. I don't think there was a writer strike. A, COVID hit, which didn't help a lot of the shows, and B, Jenna brought it up with Supernatural. A lot of these folks were getting to a point too where they felt like they were ready to, especially Stephen Amell, because Crisis basically happened during the final season of Arrow. And it was one of those where a lot of them started getting to a point where they were ready to kind of let things end, because after that, Grant only went a couple more seasons. Grant lasted the longest because I want to say Melissa bowed out as Supergirl maybe a season after Steven. And then Grant only went maybe another season or two with Flash. And so the last remaining thing we had there for a little bit, Stargirl was fairly new. And then we got Superman and Lois running. We thought we were going to get them for at least 6 seasons.
Yeah.
And then the great reboot happened.
Yeah. Nope. That's true too.
I think Bitsy Tulig, though, said it best on an interview is they didn't want competing Supermans. Because Tyler, I'm telling you, for anybody who's not seen Superman and Lois, Tyler is so good as both. But his comedic timing as Clark is ridiculous. Yes. But also, granted, since the show is centered around the two of them, it's probably the best fleshed out Superman and Lois Lane relationship that you'll see. So that was actually kind of a nice dynamic. But I was like, I didn't even know who Tyler was. Jay was like, I don't really like Tyler. I had no idea who Tyler was. And the moment he showed up on Supergirl season 2 and then in Crisis, I was done. And then you get him on the show, and his comedic timing in the dorky moments is so good. But again, and I'll harp on it for anybody who sees it, the episode where he confronts Jonathan's girlfriend's father
this isn't a job for Superman. It's not a job for Superman. Good, he's not showing up.
Yeah.
Love that line.
For anybody wondering, this is not going to really spoil anything because it's not a major plot point for the most part. But the guy hits Jonathan and he pulled a gun on Lois. And so Clark, you got to see it. You want to see Superman being a dad in that moment.
Superman didn't go. Clark went.
Yeah, Clark went.
And real quick, Randy, I'm not exactly sure if you're asking if Dynamite's open. I have no idea. I know it says is Dynamic open tomorrow. If you're talking about Dynamite, I don't know Dynamite's schedule, boss. So I don't know if they are, or if autocorrect got you and I don't know what you're trying to ask me.
Yeah,
which is a possibility.
And yeah, the Smallville moment in Crisis was really good.
It was, and that upset some people. And I was thinking to myself, look, as somebody who watched that show religiously till the very end, and will still go back and watch it, did I want to see him in the suit? Absolutely. But when I saw him in this, I thought, man, how perfect is that? He puts on the blue kryptonite watch, which that's what I think. That's what I think. That's my fan theory.
I would agree with that, because why would they have highlighted the watch so closely like they did?
Yeah.
Otherwise.
And Randy, I can tell you the best thing to do is actually email Rex and them, because they're gonna have they're gonna know that better than I will. So just shoot them an email and ask them about it. Yeah, I loved the scene. I loved it, and yes, the part where he sees the John Cryer Lex has the kryptonite, and he grabs it and he goes and chunks it, and then hits him, and then he's like, "Yep, still stronger." You know what? Johnny M. Night does have a bad rep. He does have some clunkers, but I think having M. Night or Guillermo del Toro or another horror director doing a Justice League Dark, I think that's a fantastic idea. Why not give him a shot? You never know. We're having the dude that directed the It movies is going to be doing Brave and the Bold, and he did. Okay, I know Flash. Not a lot of people like the Flash. There are moments in the Flash that I liked, You have to excuse me. The pup's in the room with me. Uh, there's moments in the Flash that I liked. I get people not liking the movie. I get that. But Andy Muschietti, I believe, he's going to be directing, Brave and the Bold. So why not grab these horror directors to do, especially something like Justice League Dark, which to me is like an occult, magical part of the DC universe that we don't really get to see way too much.
Yeah.
Like that's a team of like Swamp Thing, Zatanna, Constantine. I think Deadman, who is one of the most underrated characters in my book that never gets used except for cartoons for like a cameo.
Isn't Dr. Fate in that one?
I think
I
I
can't
think
remember.
like I know of the the
Oh
Justice League.
God,
Dark. I
Eddie.
haven't read too much. I like the Civil War crossover. Oh geez, Eddie's in here starting a flame war. But I don't think that's a bad idea, Johnny. I really don't. Why not?
I think I wouldn't mind seeing M. Night Shyamalan do Justice League Dark just because of his sense of twists and turns that he has in a lot of his stuff. I think that would be my pick if I were to pick anybody. Uh
Ed,
oh.
Ed, I missed you too, but then they're fighting words. Hi, guys.
Life cameo is random but appreciated.
Oh, wow, Jenna has a beard.
Oh Lord.
That's a good one too. You know what? The Spider-Verse animation, I really do hope that they do something with it. Like I know people are like, no, we don't want DC to copy anything Marvel does. But, that animation style for Spider-Verse, y'all, I can't deny
No, it works.
that's amazing.
I
And
like it
yeah,
a heck of a lot more than the animation style they did for the Watchmen.
yeah, I'm not a big fan. And it's kind of like What If too. I'm not a big fan. Like What If season 2 looks a little better to me, but there's something about that animation style I'm not wild about. Like I could still enjoy the story, but that animation style I'm not a big fan of. But well, Triple B, that's fair. That's fair. That is fair. I know he's really trying to, but he's I don't know. Maybe it's a dad thing. He wants his daughters to do well. I guess I don't know.
That said, though, when we talk about horror stuff,
Mhm.
didn't James Gunn do Brightburn?
James Gunn, I thought wrote.
Wrote. Okay.
He wrote or produced. I can't remember exactly. Hopefully, somebody in the chat can help me out. But I think he wrote Brightburn.
Okay.
But he did do Slither, and I
Oh, yeah.
love Slither. Batman Beyond. Yeah, Batman Beyond animation with the Spider Verse. I don't think so either. I think that if that's the only way we got it, I would have to accept it. But yeah, it's one of those what could have been things, like the Batgirl movie. Like what if it wasn't as bad as they were? Because I mean, look at what they've told us. There we go. Executive produced. Thank you, Johnny. I couldn't remember if it was a producer thing or if he wrote it,
Yeah.
but he was an executive producer. Yeah,
And then,
the Unalive Squad.
and then speaking of then Arrowverse, the one thing we didn't get with Arrowverse that sucked was we almost got Nightwing.
Stephen R. McQueen, I believe.
Yeah. Almost
Stephen
had
R.
all
McQueen.
that. And it's like, man,
I
how
know.
good would that have been? But I could kind of circle us back into the Arrowverse because you brought up something about Arrow being like a dark take on Green Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to describe it for maybe anybody in here who has never watched Arrow, just think of Batman as Green Arrow.
Yep.
Is a really good way to put it. And then his sense of humor gets better as it goes on.
Yeah, I mean, there is some very humorous parts. There are some seasons that I think because of what was going on with the movies. Yeah, 100% agree with that, Johnny. What was going on with the movies like stopped them from using certain characters. So when we had the Task Force X episode, we had Harley in a jail cell with her back turned because they couldn't use Harley.
Yeah. Heck, I'm still surprised that we got another TV Superman, if anything.
Oh,
But then again, it was always easier to get a TV Superman than a Batman, which never could understand that one. But
I know. Then we had Gotham, which Gotham they changed what that show was going to be about because they literally said that he wasn't going to be in the show very much, and next thing you know, they had it. Yeah, Ed, he is, but there's just I don't know. He's a hard character to explain. He's like if you took Hawkeye and gave him like the Flash's humor, because in the comics he's a bit funnier. Green Arrow's Batman when you can't legally make Batman. Oh goodness, that's good. That's good.
all right, so I'll pose this for everybody in the chat. Then we'll give y'all some time to answer as we talk, and then we'll give ours at the end. But when it comes to the Arrowverse, what are some of y'all's favorite moments that you can recall? Favorite episodes, anything like that. So be thinking about that. Throw them up in the chat so that we can highlight those, and then we'll get on ours. I still maintain that even though Crisis was the biggest crossover that they did, Crisis on Earth X is still the best crossover.
Oh yeah, when they fight the
Nazis,
not nice people, the
people from the 53rd Earth, as we'll call it.
Yes.
Where the regime is taken over.
Yes.
But so good.
That is good. That is good. Like I enjoyed a lot of the crossovers.
Mm-hmm.
Like the reason that I would pull for Crisis is it was the cameos.
Oh yeah.
I know it was the cameos. Seeing Burt Ward or seeing oh my goodness, I forgot who he played in Batman '89, but the other reporter, I cannot remember his name.
Knox.
Yes,
yeah.
Seeing him, and then let's not forget redemption from my boy Brandon Routh and that Kingdom Come Superman.
I'm just going to put this out there now. That is still the best live action Superman suit.
Yeah.
Just saying. I would love to see a live action DC Marvel crossover. God, that would be so good. James Gunn, make it happen. You have connections on both sides. You run one studio, so you can do whatever the heck you want. Go talk with your buddy Kevin. Let's make it happen. I want a Dark Claw.
Here's the thing that gets me. So you want Amalgam on top of the crossovers?
Yes, I want them all.
Okay. Here's my thing that I would love to pose to the studios out there. Why would you not want to do this? Why would you not want to do a DC Marvel crossover and just let the truckloads of money come in? Folks, there's a lot of folks, maybe not too many in the chat, maybe a few of you in the chat, that want to see a DC Marvel crossover.
Mm-hmm.
Avengers versus Justice League, or them teaming up to take like a big amalgamation threat. Brandon Routh was a good Superman. Dang it. I went and saw that movie. I called in sick to work to go see it. I was on a pseudo date with somebody and ignored them the whole time for it. I was like, look, you can't take me to a Superman movie and think I'm going to pay attention to you. Sorry.
they only did one thing wrong with Brandon in that movie that they corrected with Kingdom Come, and that was the blue contacts.
The contacts were I don't know why they did that.
Yeah, because they were still stuck on the idea that Superman has to be black hair, blue eyes, and it's like, no, guys, Ralph looked the part. Just let him play it. If he's got brown eyes, so what? It's not a big deal. If 007 can be blonde haired and blue eyed when he's not supposed to be, Superman can have brown eyes. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, especially because I still love the. I get goosebumps because I just watched it actually the other day. It's the scene when he saves the plane and drops it in the middle of the baseball field, and the crowd cheers there to be like. I still get goosebumps on that scene because, in my mind, if I saw something like that, that's how I would feel. For like, if Superman was real, that would be dope.
See, it's a weird thing, and it happens with a lot of fandoms. It does. We went from Brandon Routh's Superman not doing that well because he's too much like Christopher Reeve, and this is like a direct sequel to the Donner movies, and it's too this, it's too that, and then we have like Henry Cavill, and then it's like, or no, there was not enough action. Then we get to the Henry Cavill one, and he's not enough like Christopher Reeves, and there's way too much action. Like, they haven't found that balance. They haven't found that balance yet, and I'm hoping, and I'm thinking he will, that Gunn will do that with the Superman movie next year. And again, I can't be like over the moon for it because I don't know David Cornsweet as an actor. Like, his whole casting was like, after he was cast, I looked to see what he did. I'd never seen anything he's done, so I can't give any kind of. He looks the part. I can give him that, but outside of that, I don't know his acting ability or anything. I hear he's great, but I personally have never seen anything. And you are absolutely right. Cress Williams was a very awesome Jefferson Pierce. Was it Jefferson Pierce? Now I feel like I got his name wrong.
See, and I've never read a Black Lightning comic yet to have any kind of compare. Like, so I know nothing about the character other than what I saw in Crisis, and the dude just looks awesome.
Yeah.
In this and that. So it's like, if y'all have some Black Lightning comics, Jenna, if you got Black Lightning comics, throw them at me next time I come over.
We probably
not throw, but hand them over.
So back to this. So I never watched any Stargirl stuff, and it wasn't from lack of interest. It was one of those things where I just got busy and just never watched it. But I mean, and see, I haven't seen Pearl, but I know he's in Pearl, and we need to watch that trilogy. It's part of that that movie X, and then Pearl was the second movie, and then the third movie is called Maxine. It's a horror trilogy.
Oh, I've never.
Yeah.
Okay, but then again, we know that when it comes to movies, I'm not the biggest horror guy.
Yeah.
When Scream is my horror franchise, that kind of tells you enough right there. When it comes to horror comics, though, like, and the funny thing, sidebar, sorry, my coworker that you helped solve his 15-year-old Superman thing the other night, he's the same way where he was, I'm not a big horror movie guy. I said, see, comics, for whatever reason, horror comics are so good because it's hard to do a jump scare in a book. So it's like, so you don't have to worry about that kind of, if that's what you don't like about horror movies, but you will see some things that are disturbing and that will keep you up at night, and you'll see them and you'll have nightmares. And I told him, I was like, see, that's what's great about comic horror books.
Yeah.
To me. So
I know you got two horror aficionados in the chat.
That's okay. Eddie's thoughts on Civil War make his opinions null.
Ooh, that's harsh. That is harsh. But yeah, going back to Stargirl, it wasn't lack of interest. Stargirl is another character that I was very interested in. It's the same thing with what's going on now. You know, DC is about to do it, but Marvel has done it. You know, I knew of like characters like Shang-Chi. Okay. I knew of him back when everybody called him Shang-Chi. So not knowing about a character and then them putting a movie out makes me want to learn about the character. And Stargirl is one of those because Stargirl is modeled after Jeff Johns' sister who died in a plane crash. So he like created the character in memory of her.
Oh, okay.
So he's like very close to his, very close to his heart kind of character. Oh, there we go. I told you, man, gonna get you. But I'm gonna eventually go back. I'm gonna go back and rewatch and finish everything because I mean we still got till July next year or no, in December this year before we get any of the new DCU stuff coming out. I need to hop on Penguin. Dan told me don't binge it. If you're gonna do anything like that, watch 2 episodes and then take a break. He goes because the show's so good, you need time to process what you've seen.
For which one?
Penguin.
Oh, yeah.
I've been hearing nothing but great things about Penguin.
I still think that whole Matt Reeves verse is amazing.
Yeah.
So
there's another. Let's see what else was there. Legends, like I said, Legends was just a fun, crazy show. It was weird. It was out there, and then you have Doom Patrol. And Doom Patrol was weird and out there. There's things that I hope eventually make their way back to the DCU. I'm hoping that there's some things that James Gunn was like, man, people really love this. Maybe it won't be the same actors. Maybe it will be. But it'd be cool. That would be hilarious, actually. That's what I'm hoping. They release Wonder Man, so for once, instead of DC dropping something and then Marvel drops something, then DC drops something. That'd be a nice little twist, actually. I mean, Marvel's been doing that for years. Anytime something from DC gets dropped, they drop something right on top of it.
Well, it'll be interesting next year when Superman comes out because we're getting, what is it, that and Fantastic Four within a week or two of each other.
Yep, and I'm excited for both. And Ed, I joke around with Henri because Henri's not the Batman fan. I joke around with him and do the something in the way thing with him all the time. I really dug the Batman. I don't want that to be misconstrued. I might poke fun at some things, but we went and saw that movie in theaters, and I really, really dug it. And Triple B, you hit the nail on the head, man. I don't get the Marvel DC biasness. Like, oh, if you like this, you can't like this. Agatha was good. Like, seriously, Agatha all along was really good. But then again, I might lose a little bit of credibility. I kind of like She-Hulk. After a couple of episodes, I got into She-Hulk. I really like She-Hulk. Agatha was really good. I know there's a lot of people that are like, that show sucks, and that's fine. That's fine. But see, you watch the Batman like I watch Deadpool. Ed, like,
I mean, if we're going to talk Marvel, the Daredevil trailer dropped.
Yes.
And I was already excited.
Oh, dude.
For it, period. And even the teaser they did of all the upcoming Marvel TV stuff. Excited, but Daredevil especially. But now that I've seen the official teaser, oh man. But I'm just gonna put this out there. Like, we were spoiled in the 2010s when we were getting Arrow and Daredevil back to back for those few years. Oh man. That show.
The fact that they decide to retool Like they were going to do something completely different with Daredevil, and for whatever reason, somebody there decided, nah, we're not going to do this. They retooled it, and it looks so much like the Netflix show that it's almost hard to tell the difference.
Yeah.
Um, and I need to watch Echo because Henri, that I work with on Tuesdays, for those who might not know, Henri said Echo was amazing.
There were
And Ed, hold on, like real quick, when it comes to She-Hulk, ooh, excuse me, when it comes to She-Hulk, I think that was more of she was rewriting what was going on because the show's that meta. Maybe I could be totally off the mark with that. And you're right, Triple B. You're right, Triple B. I did like She-Hulk, but yes, Agatha was top tier. So
what I'm trying to figure out though, since I haven't watched it, what Agatha is supposed to be setting up for the MCU itself, if anything.
well, not every. I don't. We got spoiled with Marvel when it comes to that too. Like it feels like every time a movie comes out now, we're watching it because we're waiting to see what it sets up, right? Now, not being spoilery, but it's kind of a draw your own conclusions when you watch it. I think that Scarlet Witch isn't dead. I don't think Scarlet Witch is dead. We didn't see a body, and to me, it's no body, no real death.
Hmm. That's fair enough.
But part of it also sets up another team that, again, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hadn't watched it. That's the closest you're going to get. Or, Jenna's just going to say it in the chat, which is fine. Ed, Agatha is a spinoff from the WandaVision show. In the comics, she was actually the nanny of Franklin Richards. She was old, but in this, they kind of made her a bigger villain. I don't remember her. It's somebody out there who knows more about Marvel Comics than me. Please chime in. I don't remember Agatha being like evil, but I do remember her being a witch. So basically, this is a coven of witches. Uh, my my wife's wife, Aubrey Plaza, is in it, and she is amazing. Um, it's a fun show, and to me, you don't really had to have watched WandaVision to understand what's going on. Just know that the town was cursed by Wanda, and that's pretty much it.
No, I understand that, Eddie. Believe me,
There's
we
so much.
understand being crazy busy and being behind on shows.
There's so much that's the worst and the best thing about the times we're living in now, folks. There's so much content out there, and it's so hard to keep track of everything.
Yeah.
It's so hard. Like I'm sitting here. We got the Disney Plus app, and for the longest time, I was watching like Gargoyles and Darkwing Duck reruns, or things like
I was
that.
watching all the old Herbie movies and then any 2000s and 20 teens Disney movies I hadn't seen for like a year straight. Jenna had me watching a new movie almost every week,
Yeah.
which is not a bad thing. But the Disney Plus app has been great for just being a kid again, if anything.
Yeah. Well, Jenna, here's the thing. We have Cassie Lang. Instead of Hulkling, I think they're going to use Scar. If I'm being 100% honest, because remember, not all the teams have been like those young Avengers doing Teen Titans. So here we go. Yeah, exactly. I don't think they're going to make the team exactly how they were, because if you think about it, in the Avengers, you had Scott Lang added to the Avengers because they used an older Hank Pym. Instead of starting, the Ant-Man movies off with Hank, they skipped right to Scott.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if they're going to do Iron Lad since they're doing Iron Heart.
well, see, Iron Lad is completely different because he
Oh.
is one of Kang's variants, I think.
Oh.
But now with
Okay. My bad.
Kang not being around anymore,
Or is he? And that's what Robert Downey Jr. really is going to be. No, I'm just
that'd
kidding.
be the weirdest recast ever.
Right. I'm still not convinced though that he's actually going to be Victor Von Doom.
No, he's gonna be not superior Iron Man, infamous Iron Man, which is basically evil Tony Stark. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be Victor at all.
That makes you wonder. It's like there's the big twist. Like who's actually going to be Victor?
See, again though, Ed, like from what I remember seeing, Iron Lad was a variant. Aqualat, yeah. There's a lot of lads. A lot of lads to go with the man. But I think Iron Lad, if I'm remembering correctly, and again, I don't trust my memory, and it's my memory. I think Iron Lad was a Kang variant, like a good Kang variant, because apparently there are some of them that are good. All I know is I can't believe that there are people complaining. If you don't like something, that's cool. You're not going to love everything, and that's fine. But how anybody could be complaining when you're a nerd in these times, and we have so many things to watch, like it's insane. I would have never thought that we'd come to this, where we have to decide what superhero thing to watch.
Yeah. And the actual decision is watch all of it.
Yeah.
Just
And,
watch all of it.
and Ed, I think you're 100% right. I think you're 100% right. I think it's just gonna be Tony. But then a part of me is like, why did they show us then? That's the only thing that really gets me. If they weren't gonna make him actually Victor, why did they show him to us?
See, to me, because when they made that announcement, I did the research. There's apparently a storyline where Victor transfers his consciousness or his mind into Tony's body, and then puts Tony's mind in his body and wipes his memory. From what I read, apparently there's a comic where Victor did that.
Isn't that infamous Iron Man?
I'd have to Google it.
Oh, like that really sounds like Superior Spider-Man to me, because Doc Ock did the same thing with Peter.
Huh.
That's what Superior Spider-Man is.
That's interesting.
That was actually a really good series. Like, I don't read a whole lot of newer Marvel stuff, but
I thought that I need to get back because that Spider-Punk I got, while the story was good, the book wasn't worth the price I paid for it. No offense, but that Spider-Punk series was actually pretty cool. But then again, I think I've read more DC and Marvel this year than I have in the last 4 years.
it's true.
But
Sony owns Spider-Man and sort of Men in Black. Why not cross them over? Yeah, they could do like a Men in Black International. He'll get that joke. I think he's the one who made it, and I'm going to feel really dumb, Johnny, if you weren't the one that made that joke on the show. We're getting Doom, but it's Super Tony as an alternate Tony. Then we'll get Victor Von Doom. It's weird to me. Like, why be that convoluted about it? Like, I don't know. It's almost like we're getting Mandarin again.
Well, I wonder if some of it was because they were so nervous about how to get the hype back into the movie after what had happened with what was his name, Jonathan Majors, whoever was. I think they were trying to figure out a way to get the hype back in it fully, and maybe they figured that was the best way to do it, is to do some kind of storyline and bring RDJ back. It's the only thing I can think of reasonably. Venom meeting Venom, yes, that would actually be really good.
That would be good. I'd pay to see that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so as we're talking about Marvel when we were going to be doing the Arrowverse stuff, because again, we're barely on the planet, let alone on the rails.
hey, guess who I cast as Victor Von Doom?
Yep.
Yeah, that was actually, he might be mentioning my video now that I think about it. But yeah, Killian as an actual Victor Von Doom would be perfect. That guy, he's one of the, what can't he do? Really? He's one of those, it's kind of like, I'll use this to circle back into DC.
Yay.
Kind of like, not necessarily the Arrowverse, though, but Kyle Chandler, one of those dudes, for anybody who doesn't know, Kyle's playing Hal. I don't know
There
why but Kyle is one of those dudes. He's been around since we were kids and has been in everything. And I don't think he's ever sucked. Like, I can't really think of anything that he's just been bad in. Now, say what you want about Jay and I have our opinions on, we're getting an old Hal Jordan. For what they are doing, though, with it being an old Hal Jordan and a young John Stewart, I thought they nailed the castings at least.
Oh, dude, 100%.
They nailed it. So I think they'll be good. I'm just not sold on the show premise. How do you do a grounded detective Green Lantern?
Yeah, we had.
I need my Green Lantern to be the big space operatic, just that. I need it to be the space spectacle.
You see what happens when you miss a show, because we actually we had talked about this last week, because I said the same thing. I was like, look, I can get for a little while, okay? It's a lantern that gets killed on Earth. I can get them coming down doing some kind of investigation.
Yes.
But DC needs to go to space. There has to be at least a couple episodes where they're in space.
Yep.
Where they're wearing the outfits. I mean, to me the premise sounds awesome because I've watched True Detective and I dig the show. But I need that galactic part of the lanterns as well.
Yeah.
Like I need that. I need to see what these costumes are going to look like, and hopefully they're a little better than some of the ones we've seen so far.
Yeah.
And I said last time that I'm not counting Guy's outfit because that is a Lord Tech kind of uniform that he's wearing.
It's a disappointment.
Yeah, but it's a company uniform, so I didn't expect it to be like great.
At least make it look as good as Sinestro's suit at the end of the Green Lantern movie.
But I think they're gonna go more practical.
Yes, I would agree, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Totally fine with that.
Andrew Lincoln is Doom, and Matt. Okay, Mads I can see. Andrew feels like more of a Mr. Fantastic to me than Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think they're jaded on the suit. Well, I think the thing about the Green Lantern movie, and I know that people rag on it. I like it. I know there's other people that don't, and that's fine. I can see why people wouldn't like it because there are also parts that I don't like. Yeah. One of them was the suit, and I think if they would have done a better mix, the thing about CGI, folks, is it's it's there to help accentuate not be the whole thing, to me at least. I think when you do suits, it needs to be a better mix. You have a practical suit and you use the CGI to enhance the visuals on the suit. Having the whole suit, unless the whole entire character is a CGI character, I don't know. It doesn't look good to me. And then we have what kind of how Cyborg looked sometimes in the Justice League movie,
Yeah,
where like the head kind of just was weird. And that's what I'm hoping, Johnny. That's what I'm hoping.
the funny thing though about like Cyborg looks so bad, but the Green Lanterns that they showed in the early part of the movie when they showed the flashback, those look more practical than what we got in the movie.
Right. Okay. All right. I could see Vigo. I could see Vigo's Doom. All right. I definitely see him a little bit more than Andrew Lincoln. But, Aragorn as Doom would be a good choice. That'd be a good choice. And yeah, I'm glad we're getting Guy Gardner too. And people can tell me all they want. He's the least popular Lantern. I don't think he is. I don't really think there's a least popular Lantern. There's only one's not as popular. Let's put it that way. See, and I was thinking, if we're going if we're going with an older Hal anyway, part of me's like, why didn't we just use Nathan, who's voiced Hal in the cartoon universe? Why didn't we just use him for Hal? Like, no offense to Kyle Chandler, like that's awesome that he's getting a part, but it was a weird thing to me. It was like, well, he's voiced him in the in the cartoons, and you're using an older version, so why wouldn't you just use him for Hal? But it's cool that we're getting Guy. I'm hoping we get a lot of characters that that have not had the chance to be live action before. Hell, throw an Alan Scott in there. Let's go do a throwback movie. Do the JSA. Let's have Sandman, one of like 4 different Sandman. Because there's the 2 or 3 different ones in DC alone.
Well, but see, and hey, perfect segue back into the Arrowverse. That's what made Arrowverse so great. How many characters did they give us that you really didn't get before? We never got a Jay Garrick Flash. And then you throw the ultimate flip and you give us John Wesley Shipp as Jay Garrick, which was as perfect an idea as you could ever have.
That was my Flash growing up. Before we had the Justice League Unlimited and Justice League with Wally and the amazing Michael Rosenbaum that voiced him, John Wesley Shipp was my Flash. I loved that show. Loved it. And, what was really kind of heartbreaking about this Flash. I've been waiting years and years and years for a Flash movie. Like years for it. And my brain made its own movie with trailer and everything, because that's how my brain works. With like music and stuff, I make trailers and stuff in my head, and I was going to use Jay Garrick anyway. But when you have a Flash in the 90s, like you did with John Wesley Shipp, and then you bring him into the Flash as Jay Garrick. First of all, I love the Golden Age suit that they used for him.
Yeah.
I loved that suit.
I'll get into that here in a minute because
but the suit that was used in the Flash movie,
it's terrible. I'm just going to go ahead and say it's terrible. The way he ran, it's terrible. The actor playing him, not great.
I will say this though, as much as I liked/disliked this movie because again, I do Fender of the DCverse. Yeah, um, there were parts of it. This movie almost made me like Ezra a little bit. I've always thought I gave him the chance, like I do everybody. I always thought he was miscast.
Yep.
Always. Um, there's something about there's something about his Flash that he tried to make him look like an ice skater with the run and everything. But I can't say too much about the run because go check out how Clark used to super speed in Smallville. From the back, he's standing straight up, and his arms are doing this. So I can't hate on it too much. And yes, that's the other thing, the Jimmy Fallon look.
Well, it's like I don't know. It's just nothing about Ezra and the way they handled the Flash was great. When it came to the running, it's like, guys, look at the TV show. They had it nailed down as to what it should look like. Like they did a really decent job of that. But
like I liked Grant Gustin's suit more than the movie suit.
I still think John Wesley Shipp's suit from the '90s is better than both.
Okay.
I think his suit was actually the best live action Flash suit. And then second would be the Jay Garrick suit from the Flash TV show. As much as some Golden Age stuff looks really campy in the comics, that suit looked great on the show.
Yeah, it really did.
But that is one thing. And actually, I'm kind of curious in the chat. Let me know if you want me to do this video. Jay and I have talked about it. When it came to the costumes in the Arrowverse, for it being a TV budget, how many times did they nail suits? The Green Arrow suit, no matter which season it was, I thought they were all great. Even the sleeveless one. But Jay might agree with this too. Some of the side character suits were way better. Like Speedy's suit was so good.
Yeah.
When you get over to Flash, Grant's suit was always okay, but the Reverse Flash suit on that was the most ridiculous, and to some extent, Zoom's suit.
Yeah.
But doing Zoom as a mix of an actual speedster and half like dead zombie look with him. I mean, that was one of the coolest things ever. But it always felt like sometimes like you got your main hero and then somebody who's either a villain or a side character, their suit, you're just like, well, how do you get the better suit? And it's weird because it felt like they did that with Arrow where Speedy had the better suit. And then finally by like season 3 or 4, Oliver's suit caught up to it.
Yeah, because I liked Arsenal's suit and I didn't dig John's helmet.
No, I thought that was a little too like, we're not going to say the nickname here, but
yeah,
I do like, that is one thing though that I wish DC would do. I thought Diggle was such an interesting character that I would genuinely read a comic about him. If you took the basis of what they did with David Ramsey in the show, I would genuinely read a Spartan comic.
Yeah, 100%. Well, okay. Ed, look, Superman 78 is totally different because we're not using CGI to show the running. You literally have a dude being held up and being driven by something.
Yeah.
And he's having to run along. Yes, it looks terrible. It does. I agree there. But, I mean, it was 78.
Hell, the fact that his flying looked as good as it did in general in 78.
Yeah. I mean, that bank, dude. When we first get that shot of Christopher Reeve in the suit, and he goes and he takes off and he banks, dude, my young brain and me now is still blown away with how amazing that looks.
Mm-hmm.
And no, he actually has the powers, Ed. The in the comic it was super weird. I think it was like he inhaled hard water vapor and gained super speed. Like comics are strange, man. I love them, but at the same time, a lot of these origins are strange. You had, what one of the Green Lanterns was yellow, was like their kryptonite basically was the color yellow or wood.
Yeah.
George flew better. George jumped on a trampoline and then grabbed like a monkey bar to land.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. I mean, it was the 40s and 50s. All George had to do was literally just do this, and it was the same thing just used over and over again. You only saw the front half of his body.
And I think at one time they started using, I can't remember if it was the Reeves show or something else, to show his flying. They turned him into a cartoon.
That I don't remember.
Yeah, there's a Superman show, and I can't remember if it's the George Reeves one, where eventually when he goes to fly, they turn him into a cartoon. Damn right he did. He was amazing. Not
Now,
saying he wasn't.
I always liked, though, with the George Reeves show was how they made it sound like a weird kind of wind hurricane when he flew. And then there was that weird little whoosh sound when he landed. I will give him this, though. He was really good at landing into a window. Like when he'd fly into the window and land, it's like, I'll give him that. It's like for the 40s and 50s, he could get out a window really good.
Well, like I said, I can't remember if it was him or not. I just know that there is a Superman show out there where every time Superman went to fly, it was in black and white. They would animate him.
I can't remember, to be perfectly honest.
It might have been not. It might have been the Kirk Allen one. I can't remember because George Reeves was not the first live action Superman.
That is true. He's just the one that most people remember.
Yep.
Probably because you had Nick at Night.
Yeah.
Throughout the 70s and 80s. That Lord knows I watched, I don't know how many shows on that, but that'll be for a whole other episode because then we'll be here till like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, what were we talking about? Costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Jake, do you have a favorite costume? Like, let's take the Kingdom Come suit out of it because I feel like that's an unfair advantage for that thing. Because I have a feeling that that's probably yours anyway, just like it is mine. But do you have a favorite suit from the shows?
It's still kind of a cop out, but Swamp Thing.
Okay. See, and that's fair. I have to watch it to see it. Do you have a costume that you think was underrated?
I always dug Mr. Terrific's.
Yeah. Okay. That is. I always thought the guy that played him, what was it? Echo Kellum was the name.
Yeah.
I think that was the name. He was pretty good as Mr. Terrific. I'll tell you a suit that I think was underrated because I didn't get to see it till. Well, you can slam me for this if you don't consider it fair. I thought Black Lightning's suit because I hadn't seen the show until he really popped into the crossover. His suit is awesome.
Oh yeah,
that's
a good pick.
So I think that would be the underrated one. Favorite one though for me is Reverse Flash. That suit is so good. Just and then some extent maybe when they did Melissa when she went to the full pants, I thought that suit actually looked really good.
Oh, yeah, Triple B, that's awesome, man. Like, thanks for being here for as long as you were.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, you take care, man. We'll have more shows. Eventually, we'll have you on here with us.
Yeah,
that's the hope.
I think that one when we can talk about good horror stuff.
Yeah,
we'll get on here. That'll be a great one.
Well, we're gonna do that. We need him and Eddie on here.
That's
those are the two horror folks.
Yep, because I'm gonna be sitting here. I might have to sit out and just let Jenna be in on that one because when it comes to horror stuff, I know some comics and that's about it.
See, and I just couldn't remember if it was Kirk or if it was George.
But I'm trying to think. Anyway, so let's see. I will say this.
I got one more though.
Okay.
The season 4 Superman suit.
Yeah, his new suit is dope.
And the very first episode homage suit.
Yeah.
I really love that.
I think you also like that because of the cool suit. Thanks. My mom made it.
Yes. That is what made me fall in love with the show. I already loved. Oh yeah, Eddie. No. Yeah, dude. We don't take it too serious here, man. You know that. And yeah, Mr. Nope. Because if we're going that route, then Huntress on the episode of Arrow where she becomes Huntress
Oh
and
yeah.
they're training, yeah, all day. But yeah, the first suit that was the homage to the original, cover suit with the green car.
Yep.
That line alone was like cemented for me that Tyler was going to be up there in my favorite, Superman Clark iterations, and then just watching the show, he took the spot. Like I've told everybody here, and you know this as well. George and Christopher, George Reeves, Christopher Reeve, they have their own category. Everybody else, though, the when it comes to who my favorite Clark Superman is, it's Tyler. Tyler's taken it over. Uh, he's amazing, and I did like the flying of Adam Warlock. I kind of hope that it's a mix of how the flying in Man of Steel was with Adam Warlock, the way that he went in there. Guardians 3 is probably my favorite of the trilogy. Like, I really dig 1. Like, if I had to rank them, my ranking is like 3-1-2. But
I'm 1-3-2 on those.
yeah, I mean, and those are interchangeable for me. It's just the story, the thing being about Rocket.
Eddie Tyler is the one that's on the current Superman and Lois show.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Tyler Hoechlin plays Superman and Superman and Lois.
To me, though, on Warlock, I don't know anything about the character whatsoever, but it felt like the way they did him in the movie. I was very lukewarm.
Yeah, that's
on the character as a whole.
That's not how he is, but it's also kind of like how they did Ultron. As much as I loved, James Spader voicing Ultron, that is nowhere near Ultron from the comics. And I know we have to kind of tweak characters to make them fit into certain molds of the movies. But it's kind of like, okay, I am not an America Chavez fan. Didn't like her comic, couldn't really stand the character. But in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, the way that she was portrayed in that made me a fan that way.
Yeah.
So, maybe there was somebody who never had heard of Adam Warlock and they saw this movie and they became an Adam Warlock fan. But wow, that's big praise, Ed. That is big praise.
It's weird. It's hard to compare, I think, George Reeves Clark to anybody. Yeah.
That's good. That's good, Johnny. That's good.
George is everything for George, though. Given that the 1940s and the 50s were so very different for what most, what men were and how they were portrayed and stuff, compared even to when you just get to Christopher's and everything after that, is it feels like during that era, the way you would have to portray a Clark is very, very different to now. I feel like from like Christopher on, it feels like for the most part it's kind of been the same. But before that, yeah. So I would have to agree. Like you couldn't have picked anybody better than George to be a Superman for his time period.
Yeah.
I don't know that George would have worked if that Superman would have worked later.
Mm.
But he's very period correct, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I see, and that's a thing that at the lowest part of the DC, when I heard people's complaints about the DCEU stuff and how they weren't comic accurate and all that stuff, and again I get people's gripes about it. Okay, I do, but then there's things like that, like you just brought up. In the comics, Tony wasn't the one who made Ultron. It was Hank.
See, and that in reading Civil War and understanding Hank Pym's impact on a lot of the Marvel universe,
Yeah.
they missed. I feel like they did a disservice to the MCU with that. I would definitely agree. All right, Eddie, I'm gonna have to disagree with you, man. Cavill's Clark might no. He was Superman with glasses.
And
But
love,
and I get that. It's kind of like for me, it's like Andrew Garfield as Peter.
see, and
You can't have them be that cool for school.
Yep.
When it comes to playing those characters, I think.
To me, Tom is the perfect mix because in the Sam Raimi verse, Toby was a very believable Peter, but his Spider-Man was kind of weak. And then you have Andrew Garfield, who his Spider-Man is, pun intended, amazing, but his Peter's too cool. And then you have Tom, who to me was a perfect mix of both of them.
Yeah.
That's true for Death. For me, I get what Christopher Reeves was going for with his Clark. Because it honestly, the way he played Clark and then he switches into that Superman role, it literally was like he was a completely different person.
Yeah.
So I get what he was trying to go for. And I also get why people didn't really care for how he did his Clark. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Clark wasn't a clown, but like how Clark was played in Smallville, there was maybe one time he was a little klutzy to throw people off. To throw a jump scare at you. Jeez. Right, but again, that was for his time, and what they tried to do for some people it really worked, for other people it didn't. But I think we can make Clark clumsy and like and things like that without making him look like a total dingus.
And that's where Tyler. That's where Tyler works. Because it's not that Tyler's a dingbat. Tyler brings an innocence to Clark. And I think that's what works.
Yeah.
Squirrel Girl beating Thanos.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
No, he's not.
But again, I get what people are saying, and I'm kind of hoping that they dial back the clumsiness with David's Clark. I really hope that they end up doing something with that hair, because that broccoli haircut ain't doing it for me. But again, it's a wait and see.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. But for me, the CW, that Arrowverse, this is going to be, and we're definitely going to have another show about it when it happens. This is the last season of Superman and Lois. Not only is it the last season of Superman and Lois, this is the last remnants of the Arrowverse.
Yeah.
A universe that we've been watching for well over a decade.
Yeah. 12 years, because Arrow started, I think the month you moved in, we all moved in together.
Yep.
Or the month after, something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's, for me at least, to get a little personal with everybody here in the chat, that's why the Arrowverse for me is significant, because Jay, I'll tell you, I came out of a really bad relationship when we all started living together. And Arrow for me was that escape I needed to dive into. And it's one of those, it just came along at the right time. So, and then it hooked me so much. And I'll circle back to my question I asked probably about an hour ago at this point, when it comes to what I think the question in the thumbnail, what I think the legacy of the Arrowverse is. To me, the Arrowverse is the MCU of TV when it comes to your big comic book stuff. How many other, I mean, can you really think of too many other TV universes that got as significant and as involved? Star Trek is one of the few that comes to mind. For comics, this is really about the only, or not comics, because Star Trek is technically a comic too. But between DC and Marvel never really had network stuff. They tried to with Shield. And then their closest thing they got was Netflix. So, but to me, they're the MCU of TV, and I'm not sure, unless Gunn decides to do something, that we're going to get something like that anytime soon from either company.
That's why I hope DC starts utilizing Max like Marvel does with Disney Plus, and we get some specials.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that with the actors. And which show? And the Arrowverse was actually all what they called the whole universe of shows.
Yeah, so
there was
the show I'm specifically talking about for when Jay and everybody moved in is Arrow, specifically. But yeah, Arrowverse is 10-ish shows. Let me think. Arrow, Superman and Lois, Flash, Legends, Stargirl, Swamp Thing, Titans, Doom Patrol, Black Lightning, Batgirl, Supergirl. That's 11. Am I missing anything? I think I've named everything.
You said Batwoman already, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I said Stargirl.
I thought you said Stargirl.
Okay, so about, let's say 10 to 12 shows are the entirety of the Arrowverse.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term. Because there's another one, if you want to technically count the animated they had Vixen, which was basically a direct thing of the Arrowverse, but it was animated. There was also that other
The Ray.
The Ray. That was a character when he popped up in
the Crisis on Next Earth.
Yep, he was great. And then they did the animated show. So yeah, if you want to count the animated shows, yeah, you're somewhere in that 12 to 14 range.
It's kind of. It's no. Ed, you're good, man. We love, we have stuff to talk about, but we really want y'all to talk to us and talk to each other. So, dude, you're good. Never apologize.
So they call it Arrowverse because Arrow was the first show. Yeah. Everything centered around him. Flash, a lot of the backdoor pilots that came in for things happened with Arrow. Flash was backdoored in Arrow. I think it was season 3 or 4 is when you meet Barry. And they do the backdoor pilot there. Legends was basically backdoor piloted in a 2 or 3, they did the first crossover with just Arrow and Flash, and then they did the next year was when they backdoored Legends, and you got to meet Hawkgirl and Hawkman.
First time they've been in the same show together.
Yeah. And to me, I thought their castings were great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically why it's called the Arrowverse, because Arrow was the first show and the one that everything's centered around.
Johnny, you're right. Naomi? I think the show is called Naomi.
Oh yeah.
Johnny, does that sound right? Was it Naomi? I actually never watched that one.
You know what? I'm gonna Google it real quick. All right, let's see.
Oh, thank you. I completely forgot that they made Naomi a live action. If that's the name, I hope that's the name. I've said it like 5 times now.
Yep. Okay. So let's see.
Nah, dude, you're good. Ed, trust me, there's a lot of things that I don't know about comics either because I've watched the cartoons or the movies of them, but never actually read the comics. So okay, yeah,
Okay.
it was called Naomi, and it was on Max, and they removed it from Max.
What? Let me see if I can find it.
That's weird, dude. Yeah, Ed, I'm the same way, man. There's a ton of stuff I've never read. When people are telling me, "Hey, have you ever read this storyline?" I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Uh, According to this, it says Max still has Naomi, but Hulu and Prime also you might be able to view it on there.
Huh?
I'll have to check it out for sure. I forgot about that show, but I don't. It doesn't show that it's an Arrowverse show by any means, but I do know what we're talking about. That and I never got to watch that either.
I don't know. To me, man, if it's on the CW, it's part of the Arrowverse.
Yeah.
And Marvel
Constantine.
was
I didn't name Constantine on my list.
Constantine.
I don't know why I'm forgetting that damn show because it was so good. It was just so good.
The funnest thing that we used to do was before the show came out, we would go and we'd download the unaired pilot. We watched the one for the Flash. Oh, it was just hard to find. Okay, cool. So it is on Max.
Okay.
It was the Flash one, but it was really the Constantine one that was super different. See, in Constantine, the unaired pilot, the girl who was with him in the show, I think in the pilot she stays. In the unaired one, in the regular pilot, she ends up leaving.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And technically, if I'm not mistaken, Constantine came before. Like Arrow was first, but I think Constantine came before Flash.
I can't. I
It's
honestly
so hard to
can't remember. I
Yeah.
honestly can't remember, but yeah, that Matt Ryan, they got him to do like the voice in so many different. Even when they were recasting the other voices, Matt Ryan was. Oh, Gotham Knights. See, I never watched Gotham Knights either. That was a weird one because that was we're not going to do it. Then we decided to go ahead and do it, and then they did it, and then they canceled it after like one season, and then they were going to bring it back or something.
I've never heard anybody say a good thing about Gotham Knights, though. I really haven't. But yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about like where I don't know, would Constantine constitute as horror?
I think there's a little bit of like occult horror kind of style to it.
That show for me was, God, I can't say enough good things about that. I might have that may be something where I'll have to do a dedicated like just video for the channel talking about how underrated Constantine was. Period.
I tell you what, I don't care what anyone thinks about it. Of course, I don't really care about what anybody thinks about things anyway. I loved the Keanu Reeves Constantine. I watched that movie before I knew Constantine was a comic character. So I had no reference when I saw that movie.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair, Eddie. That might be a good way to describe it.
Yeah. But in the ballpark, yeah.
Okay.
I love the Keanu Reeves Constantine movie. I can watch that to this day. Now, after seeing Matt Ryan, though, I'm kind of like, not that I dislike the movie now, but please bring back Matt Ryan to be Constantine.
The funny thing is, Keanu wants to revisit Constantine.
I actually own that movie, Johnny. I liked it. The Losers, that was another one that I didn't know it was a comic till after I watched it.
I don't even remember that movie.
It's Okay, there's a part in there where Chris Evans has like headphones in and he's singing a song and he does like finger guns and there's a sniper on the roof sniping people off. It's hilarious. Like it's cool. Like I really dug the movie and I didn't know it was a comic till after I watched it. And
Huh.
when I was younger, there was a lot of things like that. There's a lot of things I didn't know were comics until like Road to Perdition. I didn't know that was a comic book. History of Violence. I didn't know that was a comic book either. So it's crazy.
Hell, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a comic until high school. I just thought it was a really cool Saturday morning cartoon that got turned into two of the greatest movies because I just still don't like three, but two of the greatest movies ever.
Yeah. See, I knew it was a comic before everything because I had it was a comic that came with a tape, and you would listen to the tape and read along with the comic.
Yep, I had a
So
few of
it'd be
those.
like, yeah, it'd be like a little voice acting thing where they first met April, and
I used
you
to
had
have I used to have a vinyl with 3 Batman stories on it.
yeah.
That was, I mean, y'all, if y'all want to get in some really old school stuff, check that out. Just go find some old like radio recordings from some of these shows and stuff like that.
Let's see. Hold on.
But
Did you mention that Al Pacino movie?
who? Me?
You? Yeah.
What Al Pacino movie?
That well, I'm trying to figure out what Ed's talking about.
Unless it was Al Pacino, Satan, and Constantine.
No, it was Chris or not Chris. Uh Peter
Oh,
Stormare. Peter Stormare was Satan and Constantine, but the Keanu Reeves movie, uh Devil's Advocate. No, there's a Keanu Reeves movie where Al Pacino is his boss, but he's also Satan. Maybe it was called something Devil's Advocate or something like that. Dang it.
I don't know. Yeah, when you get into this kind of the universe, this part of the universe.
The devil.
Oh,
Okay, it wasn't Devil's
thank you,
Advocate.
Eddie.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna lose me when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So, I mean,
I was just wondering what brought up Al Pacino.
yeah.
I mean, that's a great movie.
If you want to give me grief, Eddie, since you're already on the whole jump scare thing, like I do scare you because I mean I could barely make it through
Yeah.
second
Paranormal
paranormal activity
Activity.
movie. Like that movie was hard for me to finish. So
That's why I've never tried to show him Insidious. Dunkachino.
and see,
Oh my god.
the weird thing with Insidious though is like I've watched clips of it, so I know one of the big jump scares, which is the daytime one, and then the thing with her when she walks into the boys' room and looks up and starts describing everything. But outside of that, yeah, I haven't watched the rest of it.
Maybe that's what it was. We missed somebody making a comment about the Devil's Advocate. Oh, okay. When you say Keanu, I automatically go to Devil's Advocate is a good movie. Like that is a good movie. So is Matrix, but I think Devil's Advocate's a little better.
See, I go Matrix and Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted is a guilty pleasure book for me, or book, a guilty pleasure movies for me because I like all three.
Yeah, and then of course more recently, John Wick. That God, I could do a whole episode of talking about all 4 John Wick movies. As an action movie guy when I was a kid, that's my jam.
Yeah, the funniest thing because now they're comics, so we can still talk about it, and plus it's our show, we can talk about it anyway.
Yeah.
But
Because we do talk about pop culture.
Ed, you've never seen Bill and Ted?
Dude, what is it? What is the big line? Is it be courteous? Always be courteous?
No, it's be excellent to each other.
Yeah.
It's like station. That's where Robbie gets that from. He gets it from Bill and Ted. You ever see him go station?
Yep.
That's from Bill and Ted. That's okay, Ed. There's probably some movie you've seen that's amazing that I'm like, what are you talking about? So it's all good. I get it.
Let's test Ed on Cole thing. Ed, how do you feel about the Wraith? I'm curious if you've seen that. So,
Oh,
okay.
dude. Look, John Wick was, I thought at first, was going to be one of those movies. I'm like, okay, it's Keanu Reeves, and I really like Keanu Reeves. But, they're going to try to make him an action star. It's going to be one of those, like, really cheesy kind of movies. And then I watched it, and I was like, wow, you're a dummy, and I'm glad I watched this.
Dude, that's another one of my guilty pleasures. I love that. Dude, where's my car? Where's your car, dude? Yeah, the old 80s movie, Eddie, with Charlie Sheen. And
Well, he said, was it stationed from Red Dawn? I don't think the station that Robbie does was from Red Dawn. That's station from Bill and Ted.
Yeah. But yeah.
Well, I'm trying to figure out because he said Red Dawn and then he said the old 80s movie. So I'm not sure.
I think he's answering my question about the Wraith, though. Wolverines.
Wolverines is from Red Dawn.
Oh, okay. God, I haven't watched Red Dawn in so long. I never watched the remake with Chris Hemsworth. I haven't watched it yet. No?
I haven't, so I can't say anything, but there's just something about that movie, something about the fact that they remade Point Break. You can't remake Point Break. And you tried and you were like, let's make it extreme, dude. No, it's not for me. If you dug the new Point Break, I'm happy for you, but there's just some movies that should not be remade.
I didn't even know we remade that one.
Yeah. Yep, Charlie, that was a guilty pleasure movie that I liked because it was so damn weird. You are 100% correct.
I think we all like the movie because of that damn car that Jeff Dunham now owns one of.
Isn't Clint Howard in that movie?
I think
so. He's the one that's like half bald. His hair's like up to here, and he has glasses.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ron Howard's little brother.
That guy's been in everything.
Well, see, okay. I haven't seen it. I just didn't know about that. But if Ed's saying it's pretty good, or he's saying it's excellent,
okay,
there's something to it because I trust Eddie's opinion with stuff.
I might actually go watch that after we get off air tonight. God, okay, maybe we're really off the rails. We're gonna have to dedicate a thing to like some just guilty pleasure movies.
Yeah.
Soon. Arrowverse stuff. Okay, so
you've given your thought of the legacy.
Yes.
Right? That's what you were talking about, the legacy.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I'll say. It started with a show about Clark Kent becoming Superman, and it's ending. That again, if it wasn't for Smallville, I don't think we would have gotten Arrow. So I'm calling Smallville kind of like Arrowverse 0.1. It was Arrowverse before it was Arrowverse. Okay? But the superhero verse of the CW that began on the WB started with a show about becoming Superman, and it's ending with a show about Superman. This is something that I think that if you didn't watch it the first time around, you get some time, go pick you a show. You're waiting for the next MCU movie, the next DCU movie to come out. Watch one of the shows. Like, Arrow to me, was every single season a banger? No. But I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's just like Smallville. Not every season was a banger on Smallville, but you had to watch every episode because they would literally tie something from season 3, episode 4 into season 8, episode 12.
Yep.
And call back that far.
Yes, Swamp Thing was part of the Arrowverse. Just
The reason it was part of the Arrowverse, though, because we talked about this before the show, is during the Crisis episode, they were showing the different Earths. And Swamp Thing was one of them, along with like Titans and everything.
see, to me though, I still don't know if that counts as Arrowverse stuff as much as they were just trying to pay homage to like all of DC.
Well, because Birds of Prey was in there too.
Yeah, but Batman '89 was not part of the Arrowverse. So, but
It is now. The Arrowverse is all.
I think anything though that was coming out for CW in general is kind of Arrowverse. But Swamp Thing though was kind of its own deal.
It was still there. It was still pretty much part of the Arrowverse. I'm counting it as that. They got destroyed.
Either way though, Eddie, watch it because as much as Jay raves about it, now I'm gonna have to go get Tubi and check it out.
Yes, leave the lights on. Okay.
No, I don't have any.
I'm telling you to leave the lights on. You might get like there's some parts in it, dude. There's some really awesome parts. There's also some parts that are going to freak you out.
Probably so.
Like it dives into the horde. Oh yeah, we got to set our clocks back too.
I don't even know where you live.
Michigan.
Oh, you're on the other end of the country.
I think. Ed, trust me, you're going to have that chance, buddy. I'm telling you, if you want to, you don't even have to have your camera on. If you wanna hop on, and Sean, if you try to hold my hand, that's so great.
Here, Ed, you can just do this for the whole thing on the stream. Just be like that.
Yeah,
you can talk like that.
Yeah, if you wanna just do that, I'd love to have you and Triple B and Castle and Nope and just anybody who'd want to come on for a little bit. Dude, we love talking to y'all. Like this is the whole point of us doing this, you know? It's us kind of stepping out of our comfort zone of, just doing recorded stuff and being able to talk to y'all. Like I love this. I love the fact that y'all can talk to each other and y'all can talk to us and everybody has a good time. Everybody can throw their opinions out there. Nobody gets dogpiled. This is a channel that I don't want that to happen on. I want people to feel comfortable about, giving their opinions about something and not having to worry about anybody in the chat dogpiling on them because they don't believe the same thing. That is definitely what we are not about. We want everyone to be comfortable with having an opinion. And we would love to have y'all on. We would.
That would definitely need to be a horror centric show.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I'll sit there and I'll just be like, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Him and Triple B and Nope and Randy and Castle. Castle couldn't be here tonight. If he catches this on the rewind, hope they have like him and Mrs. Castle. It was their anniversary. So I hope they had a great anniversary.
Smart play, Castle. Smart play.
Yeah. It really was a broad topic because there's so many shows. There's so many shows that you could technically count as part of it. It's like I said, I think anything that showed up in that little blurb in Crisis, I'm like, well, it's part of the Arrowverse now.
Ooh.
And if you haven't had a chance to watch those crossovers, thoughts on with a character like Superboy, then the show at the end meets Dared Corn Sweat. I would love something like that, Johnny Dome. I had a thought for the movie was Superboy showing up to Henry Cavill and basically, telling him he didn't understand why Clark was always so grim and gloomy.
Yeah.
And then tell him basically, the best part about being part of you is I love this. And as he flies off, we get Clark cracking a smile. Like I wanted them to use Superboy or Supergirl to kind of bring that, because Henry wanted to be that lighter, beacon of hope that he should have been the entire time. I again, I know people don't agree with it. I kind of get what Zach was going for. He wanted to start off a little bleak and build it up, but I think the build up just took too long and we lost too many people because of it.
Yeah.
Henry wanted to be that brighter Superman,
Yeah.
and we lost out. So
The
hopefully,
closest thing, yeah, because the closest thing we got was the after credit scene in Justice League.
yeah,
Bruce said
yeah.
something about brunch.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to see the Pacific, which is that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm hoping that they do something like that, Johnny. Like, I want there to be, not everything has to be a comedy, and we've heard that before. But not every character is Batman. And Superman is definitely not a character that needs to be like Batman. It's the same thing the same thing I've had about the MCU. Not every character is Tony Stark and Deadpool or Spider-Man. Not everybody needs to be cracking jokes. Some of them could be darker, some of them could be serious.
Yeah.
And some of them could be funny. But like Flash and Superman, they don't need to be dark characters. Like Batman is there to be the dark character.
Yeah.
And I think, I can get why people have a lot of problems with how the DCEU went. So Superboy is actually a clone that is a mixture of Lex Luthor and Superman's DNA. Superdog, because comic books, Kara was actually from a different part of the planet. Oh my god, I can't remember the name of her. She survived on like a piece of her planet. And then in some stories, she was actually sent to Earth with Kal-El, but she ends up getting her ship gets knocked off course. She goes through a wormhole. And so she's a teenager when she goes with Clark, but through this wormhole, Clark grows up and Kara stays the same age, and then she gets to Earth.
Yeah.
So and in some places, she's an alien that's a shapeshifter, and she's not even related to Superman. So there's there's a lot of different stories when it comes to some of these characters.
See, and the weird thing that I remember Supergirl bringing up was
Kandor.
Yeah, Kandor was the big capital city or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But they brought it up in Superman because they had the guy play him that was kind of like her lover for a little bit, but it was the neighboring planet to Krypton. What were they called?
Because that's where Mon-El was from, right?
Yes. And I can't remember what the name it is, but where the hell did that one come from? Because I don't remember ever hearing about that until Supergirl.
Yeah. And then yes, Ed, like Johnny says up there, later on, Jonathan Kent becomes Superman. Like John Kent, his son, with Lois. But before that, it was a clone called Connell. Named Connell.
All right. So kind of we'll finish off the Arrowverse thing, I think, here with we'll do some predictions on Superman and Lois since we've got 4 or 5 episodes left. Do you think we get one of the sons in the suit?
I think we get both.
You think both?
Yep.
I have a hard time wondering what Jordan's going to do. Jonathan, I can see.
So, also, we should have said before this for anybody who hasn't watched it yet.
Oh, sorry.
Spoilers.
My bad.
Spoilers for stuff.
Besides that, but did you see the other? You know what, Eddie? I ain't gonna spoil it. You know what? I'm gonna stop. I had somewhere to go with the heart thing, but I'm gonna leave that alone. We'll talk about it.
Let's give folks a shot. We'll make predictions that are non-spoiler predictions. No, don't go.
We're good. I ain't talking about it now. I don't actually really have any prediction based on that, because then I don't really have any predictions of what I think they're going to do.
I think that the show's going to end on a high note. That is my prediction for the show. I will also say this. For the longest time, Gene Hackman was one of my favorite Lexes. And then Superboy came along. Now, Superboy, when it first came on, had a young Lex that went to college with them. But during like the shift to season 2, when they changed the Superboy actor, they brought another person in and aged up Lex. And I can't remember if the actor's first name was Sherman or the last name was Sherman. But he was my favorite Lex until we got to Michael Rosenbaum. Now, Michael Rosenbaum to me is definitely the GOAT, because I'm not counting Clancy Brown voice acting. I'm not counting voice actors for the live action. I'm counting live action. True.
Nice.
Michael Cudlitz. His Lex, I wish we could have gotten more time with.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that anything happens to him. I'm just saying, since he only shows up at the last 2 episodes of
Season
3, and he's in this season,
yeah.
I wanted more, because he is a terrifying and awesome Lex. So Ed, if you're still with us, hopefully you are. Hopefully you caught. Hey, we're not going to spoil anything. I really want to hear your thoughts on his Lex as well.
Yeah.
And Sean, I want to hear yours, because I haven't talked to you too much about it.
No, we haven't talked much about this season at all, because I spent most of the past week getting caught up on it while I was not feeling well. So, it's a I will say this, folks. It is a different Lex than what you were used to seeing in some ways. You could still tell he's an absolute genius just by the way he's thinking. But his cold nature and almost like a psychotic obsession with getting back at Lois and everything, and what he's doing is very different than what you see with like Gene Hackman was very much, I'm just your intellectual superior. Michael Rosenbaum fits in between. I think he fits in between Kudlitz and Gene Hackman. He wasn't quite as dark from what I can remember. Granted, I have not watched all of Smallville, so you can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't remember him being quite as dark, but he was definitely it felt like he was getting there. But yeah, Michael's one of those guys where he plays dark characters. I don't know why he's so good at them, other than when he played what's his name from D3 Mighty Ducks. But yeah, this Lex has been, I don't know, he might be my favorite. And that's not having really gotten to see Rosenbaum in his entirety, because I have not watched all of Smallville. So Kudlitz for me might be my Lex, because no offense to Jesse Eisenberg, his Lex didn't work for me.
I still don't think that was Lex Luthor. I still think that was his son.
Yeah,
Luthor.
Yeah,
or his clone.
Yeah, but it still didn't work for me. But Michael is one of those. It's like, God.
And Ed, I forget why he did that. I thought there was a reason that John Irons did that, where he was going by Lex. I can't remember why he did it. I thought there was a reason he did it.
Yeah, it's been a while. I'd have to go back and watch.
But technically, that's Steel. Like, they don't call him that, but that's John Henry Irons from the
Yeah.
comics. He was Steel. And I'm Johnny. I am very excited for Nicholas Holt's Lex. I'm a Nicholas Holt fan.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see what he does.
Yeah, I'm right
Yeah.
there.
See, and Ed, that's what I'm saying. We only got the 2 episodes from season 3. Excuse me, season 3, and then we're getting this kind of shorter season with them. And I'm like, man, I wish I know why they got to end it. It's not only because of the DCU stuff and they don't want competing Superman. It's also because of CW basically rebranding itself again
Yeah.
with the merger they just had. There's lost my train of thought. What was I saying? It happens. I'm starting to get tired. Damn.
We're on the thing of Lex, I think. It was
Why they're ending what
Yeah.
I wish okay, there we go. I got it. It's because they're restructuring the CW and Superman and Lois was the last remnant. Like on the CW app, there's literally a Superman and Lois tab. Like none of the other shows have their own tab. Superman and Lois has its own tab on the CW app because that's how I'm watching it. That's how I'm watching the new season.
Yeah.
I'd love to watch it without commercials, but I can't wait until it gets done for Max to put it up.
Yeah, because in today's society, you just can't put anything in, can't not put anything as a video and spoil the crap out of everything. Just like, I'm still pissed off at the people that ruined Daredevil for me in Spider-Man 3 because Jay was so excited. He's like, he's going to jump out of his seat. And I just sat there. But then I jumped out of my seat for Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. And you found out after the movie, I got spoiled on Daredevil beforehand. And then, what was the other thing? And then I got halfway spoiled on Gambit for Deadpool and Wolverine, but I had no idea who it was. So that was still a great thing for me.
Yeah. And you thought the Cavill thing was fake.
Yep.
See, and they could do something like that, Ed, because there is Smallville comics. There's a Smallville season 11 comics that came out. I think I have like an issue of it.
And
that's a lot of way. I wish they would finish a lot of stories like that, to be honest with you.
Yep.
If they don't continue, since they're not going to continue the DCEU, I wouldn't mind having some trades
speaking of,
finish the story out. Yeah,
there are Arrow trades from the show because they had it was like a season 1.5 and stuff like that. So there are Arrow trades too for anybody curious about that.
Yeah,
I've not read any of them.
Yeah, but Ed, I'm with you 100% on that. That would be amazing. Like I want them to start. I want the movies and the comics to start being more hand in hand. But I also wouldn't mind if they're like, okay, well, this Smallville, Kansas is on this Earth. So this Superman and Lois story is an Elseworld story that we can continue through comics. Because there's just this show has been one that every episode feels like a movie to me. It feels movie quality. And there's a little bit of cheese to them. But for the most part, this to me was one of the best Arrow shows. The Arrowverse shows out of the entire Arrowverse, like the CW on the CW.
No, it's the best in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd have to ask somebody about that, Ed. I got him on Instagram, but I don't have him. I don't have his personal number in my phone.
We'll work on it.
If there's anybody in the chat, anybody on Rewind, if there was 2 shows I could get you to take a chance on, even though you're going to be mad at me about Swamp Thing because it only gets the one season. There you go. Nope. Let me ask. I'm ask Nancy. I'm gonna ask Nancy Friday if she's got his number. It's Swamp Thing, even though that'll make you mad because it's only the one season, but you'll understand why I'm so upset about it. And Superman and Lois. Like Ed has said in the chat before, he took a shot on it because I raved about it, and Ed loves it. So if there's anybody out there that's on the fence about watching Superman and Lois, just give it an episode or two. Like, I was late getting on it, big Superman fan like myself. It's just I didn't have time. And I was like, okay, I kept telling myself, I'll watch it this time. I'll watch it this time. And finally, it got 2 seasons in. And I was like, okay, let me watch an episode or two. Next thing I know, I'm like 1 or 2 episodes into season 2. And I was like, I don't know why I waited so long to watch the show. And I'm glad I started watching it. I'm sad it's going to end, but I'm glad they're not going to drag it out. And it really feels like it's going to end on a high note. And we still have 4 or 5 episodes to go.
Yeah.
So that's my spiel about that show.
Okay. Oh.
So we are at the 2.5 hour mark, folks.
And we could keep going on every other topic in the world. We have covered Arrowverse about as good as I think we're going to cover it.
Yeah.
Unless we just decided to dive show by show, but then we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Anybody got any suggestions in the chat of what you want us to talk about next time we're able to go live?
Yeah.
I'm curious about that.
I mean, I'm going Saturday anyway.
You see, so to put this out there for anybody, my work schedule is fixing to change again. Basically, I'm going to be going back to what my old schedule was, which means I will not be off on weekends every weekend anymore. And I hate it. I do not want to go back to my 13-hour shifts. I really don't. But so if the lives are basically to be set on Saturdays, you're going to see a lot less of me, unfortunately, because of that.
Which means I will have to bring somebody in the chat on every once in a while. We can do that, but also, is it you going back to 3 on 3 off?
No.
Wow, what are you doing?
No, it's the 4.
Oh,
because
4 on 4 off?
Yeah. So all this. Sorry for anybody who is listening to this, with me dragging my thing. They've hired plenty of people on the freight side where I've done all the training. On the other side, they've hired one person who is not going to work, in my opinion.
Cool.
So, hate to say that live, and that could get me in trouble, but nobody I work with is going to watch this except for like one person who won't say anything. But that's how it's going to be. So I'm going to be on 4 on 2 offs. So there might be a time where it's like you'll get a couple of Saturdays with me, and that's it.
Well, then we might have to do a Wednesday or a Thursday one.
So, yeah, like and that'll be something where people will get it. But I didn't know if we were going to keep this as a Saturday thing because it worked. Because normally like Jen is out doing her thing. We're here chilling. So, I mean, I wish I could. I would love to keep it as a thing to look forward to. But anyway, anybody in the chat, seriously, give me something. I mean, I'm curious what we can talk about next.
Yeah. And Lorena, there are things that they do in the show, and these aren't really spoilers, but they combine things, and they've done some really interesting takes. And yes, how they did Bizarro in this and how they do what Bizarro turns into were super interesting to me.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. But I agree with you. The Bizarro episodes were really good.
Yep.
And
believable.
Yeah. And
I also thought what they did with the way his language was interesting.
That too, man. You don't really you see it written a lot. You never really hear it spoken that much.
Yep.
Marvel, starting a Marvel MonsterVerse, dude. There's an episode, and I've talked about this before, of Ultimate Spider-Man that had Blade and the Howling Commandos. Werewolf by Night was the leader, but it was called Blade and the Howling Commandos. And I've always thought, do they not have they have this team in the comics? I thought there was, but it just says Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos. I've never found anything with the monster side of it. Because there's a Frankenstein, there's Werewolf by Night, there's Blade, there's Man Thing, there's the Mummy. But I want them to dive into that. Look, that Werewolf by Night special
Was, dude.
I want more. Give me more of Jack Russell. Give me more of Ted. And do like you did last time, but do the option up front. Because, I understand you and Jenna cannot see black and white. And I was super upset that y'all didn't get to enjoy that the first time it came out. Until the very end of the episode when everything turned to color. I was in bed. Jenna and I were watching it, and I literally was explaining to her everything that was happening. And unfortunately, it still didn't work for her, but I still did it. When they made that thing color, I was so happy for the both of y'all. Because as soon as I found it was in color, Jenna and I watched it. She loved it. So I would love for them to do some more specials like that. Let's dive into, use the specials for that. Let's dive into, Marvel's already gone to space. Let's dive into that horror part. We're going to be getting a whole, I think it's like only 4 episodes or something though, a whole thing of Marvel zombies. But let's get that stuff. Blade, I don't even know when that movie's happening. I heard it was taken off the shelf or taken out of the slate, and then some other sites are saying that it's back on. I haven't checked recently. Have you read My Favorite Thing is Monsters? I have not heard of that. Yeah, where's that from? We're gonna write that down. Talking about the monsters? Hell yeah.
Apparently, it's a novel by M. Emil or Ferris.
All right, I'm gonna pull a Nancy and Ricky on you. Make a note of that.
All right, I'm bookmarking it right now on my thing, and I'll link it to you.
Yes. But yeah, like Lorena, 100%.
To circle a little bit to what you were saying, Eddie, because Jay and Jenna have said this to me a bunch, but the Brightburn universe was supposed to be more than just Brightburn.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be that dark, because they introduced or mentioned, I guess, what is it, like a Wonder Woman and Aquaman type character at the end of it.
And see, we thought, I seen a video by another tuber about the author, Emil Ferris. Okay. We thought that was what was going to happen, but it turns out that it was just like it was a scene going to nowhere. They just put it in there.
Okay.
Because they had, so James Gunn had a movie called Super that was Rainn Wilson as trying to be a superhero. And so they had him as one of the characters. So they had a fish man that drowned people, a woman that used a rope to strangle people. They had, I can't remember what the character name was, but the character from Super, and then Brightburn.
Okay.
So we thought they were going to do their own universe. And
yeah,
let's see. Now, when you say the MonsterVerse, I know Universal tried. It was supposed to start with Dracula Untold, which honestly I liked Dracula Untold. Dracula Untold. I thought it was a pretty good movie. But then you had the Tom Cruise Mummy, and that wasn't very well received.
I still haven't even watched that because I thought it was just a remake of the Brendan Fraser stuff.
It wasn't. There's spoilers for a movie that isn't going anywhere. But like Mr. Hyde is in it. Like, so they were trying to build a dark, I can't remember what they were calling it, like a dark universe or something like that. So again, it's one of those things where there's horror elements in comics, in DC and Marvel.
Right.
Because the Spectre would definitely be a great like character that could be a horror character.
See, yeah, I feel like you kind of based on everything you said, that was like you give us Spectre, give us the Swamp Thing they gave you in the TV show.
Yeah,
You could probably fit Deadman in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know much about Deadman. You can tell me if he'd fit. For sure, Constantine could work in that kind of a world.
yeah.
I mean, if you were to do like a Dark Justice League, it's like, so we're naming that. Zatanna kind of, I didn't realize that she was as dark a character until I watched the Justice League Dark animated movie.
Yeah.
So, but that kind of makes magic very, in comics, almost always seems to have that kind of dark connotation to it in a lot of ways. And, you know, same thing with Dr. Fate.
Yes, Ed, I agree. Okay.
So do like a DCU, MCU, MonsterVerse, and then because you could do that and bring in your darker heroes from both sides and let them do a big thing. All right,
Yeah.
let's pitch it.
Yeah, because Hulu also had Swampy Man Thing. Oh, that's classic. That is classic. Yeah, because you know both teams have Frankenstein monster. Like Creature Commandos has a Frankenstein
there's how you link both universes. Frankenstein's the same one in both.
Yeah, and then the Creature Commandos is going to have Frankenstein monster.
Hell yeah. You could call it the Horrorverse. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things you could do.
Tell me, I just took a shower. Jeez, yeah, you know, there's an untapped potential to do the horror side of comic books. You know, this Spawn movie that I still don't think is ever going to get made. As much as I love Todd McFarlane, he keeps talking about it. You know, if you're going to link Swamp Thing as cousins, the Thing is their uncle. Who knows?
Yeah, right.
The Thing is the third cousin, but dang it, I had something there too, and I just my brain's just.
You're good. I've got one more thing I'm going to do real quick. So I didn't get to do this at the top of the show, but before we go, I do have a couple covers to show people.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Get in. So anybody who's followed the channel long enough knows we're big Garrett Gunn fans. So his last book, one of his last books, he's done a ton of books this year on Kickstarter, but he did one called the ECPD. So this was the cover I got for it. Basically, as Jay has said to me, because I actually forgot what this book is about, but think of it as basically like the Wizard of Oz Police Department. But I also backed a book on Zoop. And I learned about this from, you've heard us talk about her channel a bunch, K-pop Junkie. She had the author Lewis Southard on there when he was doing the campaign. So he did a book, and this is called Comics Are Dying, A Brief History of the Comic Book Industry. What's unique about this book is he goes through the short stories of different eras of comics, but there are 100 different artists on this. So basically every page in this book is a different artist. And then it's like usually it's like a 1 page to 1.5 page short story of the history of comics. So I'm kind of excited to get it and read it and check it out. I know K-pop has said she read the digital and loved it. So, but for anybody who knows, there is more than just Kickstarter. You have Kickstarter, Zoop, and Indiegogo is another big one. So if you don't see something on Kickstarter you like, check out one of the other platforms because they all got really, really dope stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of Kickstarter, while I'm remembering, I'm gonna pop 2 links in the chat. The first one is for Frank Gogel's book that is now 109% funded for No Heroin, Second Chances, Part 1 of 2.
For anybody who has never read Frank Gogel's stuff, I will say this, Frank is the biggest Power Rangers fan you will ever meet, but Frank is a very deep writer. Like even you can ask Jay. Jay's not a huge Power Rangers person, but he reviewed Frank's book that he did on the origin of the Phantom Ranger a few years back. Frank's series Unborn, which is kind of like Power Rangers meets Aliens, though, still the best closing issue I can think of to a comic, the way he wrapped that up. But Frank is very deep in his writing, and Jay's read No Heroin. He has raved about No Heroin for years. I'm getting the NYCC exclusive Ash Can in to No Heroin, but No Heroin is going to be an amazing series. Ed, I will say this: No Heroin, at least the second one, because I have not read the first one, but the second one kind of be your vibe. It's a very dark magic with monsters type thing in it. So I think, if anything, brother, if you have the money to back Kickstarter, I would recommend it to you. I'd recommend it to anybody in the chat, but I think that's right down Eddie's lane in terms of what he likes, just based on things.
What was that book you had? Did you see that question?
So this is called, I'll pop it up, but it is called Comics Are Dying, the Comic, A Brief History of the Comic Book Industry. I do not know if Lewis is going to do versions of these for sale or not. The best thing I can suggest is go find Lewis on Instagram. I know he's on there. You can probably ask him, but also go on Zoop. One thing I've learned about Zoop is sometimes even after a book has already been done and stuff, sometimes they'll still let you order. And because Zoop, for anybody who doesn't know, the unique thing about Zoop is Zoop prints the books for the artists or for the creators. So I think you might be able to find it on Zoop, and you might be able to order a copy. I'm not entirely sure.
I'm going to put another one in the chat, and I just now had an opportunity to look at it, and I've got to pre-apologize to Ed for it. It looks like it's in black and white, and man, this is one by our buddy Dirk Manning, and it is basically, I think he got together with Ron Chaney.
Zoop, Zoop.
Yeah. Ron Chaney, who is the president CEO of Chaney Entertainment, which I'm pretty sure he is a blood descendant of Lon Chaney, I'm thinking. Um, man, I just got the chance to look at it. I did not know it was going to be in black and white.
Yep, you heard right, Mr. Dope. It's Zoop, ZOOP, as in Paul. And I'm guessing last week you probably linked in Pocus.
Yeah.
Okay. If there's a lot of good Kickstarters coming right now. So
Yeah, but this one, man, when I saw it, my first thought was, it's about Lon Chaney. It's like originally released 1927, starring the iconic Hollywood legend Lon Chaney. The last known copy of the murder mystery horror film London After Midnight was lost to the ages in the MGM vault fire of 1965, making it a holy grail of horror and film enthusiasts alike across the world for decades. Now, in conjunction with Chaney Entertainment at Source Point Press, this legendary piece of horror and film history is being brought back to life as a graphic novel. Based on the original screenplay, remastered and restored by Ron Chaney, and adapted in graphic novel form by Dirk Manning. And I saw this, and I didn't look at it first, and I should have. But like I said, maybe this is something that later on down the road they'll do in color. But man, that really sucks. But if there's anybody else that's interested, Dirk is a friend. He's written things like Butts and Seats, Arn Anderson, My Life as the Enforcer, Nightmare World. He's written so much. I'm forgetting most of what he's done.
Tales of Mystery,
Mystery, The Haunted Highons.
Haunted Highons. Yeah, now I'm drawing blanks. But super talented dude. And if you ever get a chance to meet him, he's an experience.
Yeah,
for sure. Just like meeting Garrett Gunn. Garrett Gunn is you don't meet Garrett Gunn, you experience Garrett Gunn.
That's right.
Because he's a larger than life personality, and Dirk's much the same way.
Yeah.
But they're both very genuine human beings, which is why meeting them for us was as awesome as it was. Really? My cousin comes in here at the very end. You got to talk about Dave's Hot Chicken.
Dave's Hot Chicken sounds good, though.
It is good. It's better. For me, the chicken's better than Urbanburg, bro.
Oh, dang. Yeah, Ed, I know, man. Like I said, I should have checked. I should have checked beforehand, but again, Dirk is a friend. We wanted to share the link. When I saw it, I immediately thought of you because you like the old monster movies and stuff. So it sucks that a lot of stuff is being done in black and white. Here pretty recently, it just feels like a lot of good stuff is just like we're gonna make it black and white for the aesthetic. Oh.
Did you see pictures of Arya as a little mermaid?
No.
Yeah. Go look. You have to go see. They posted pictures of it, but she was in like a little mermaid dress for her first Halloween. So,
that's awesome.
For anybody wondering, Steven is my cousin. He's got how old is Arya, Steven? Put it in the chat. She's 2 months, 3 months, somewhere around there. So she's little and just had her first Halloween.
That is hey, you know what? People think he's being funny, but Ed has sent me some stuff that he has recolored. Ed's got some talent, y'all.
No, I was kind of halfway laughing at the epileptic thing, but yeah.
Oh, Stevie, that's adorable. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go look after this. Melt my freaking heart, bro.
Eddie hasn't sent me anything, but then again, I realized that Eddie doesn't like me.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, he likes you and Jenna. He hates me though.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I mean, if I can barely tolerate you, then
that's true. It's just Anyway.
Oh, but Ed showed me like some of his cover photos that he did for Halloween.
Mhm.
That was he. There was one with Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein on the beach. That was actually black and white, and he colored it.
That's dope.
Yeah, like Ed's got a talent for that, folks. Like, if y'all saw that, oh, I missed you too, bro.
I think you just sent me a friend request so that you can constantly make fun of me.
Ed, that's why we're all friends with him, though. So, I mean, at least Kyle isn't here. Kyle would be calling you a punk for missing out last week.
Yeah, well, Kyle's Kyle. That's what we'll just say. We'll just say that. Kyle is Kyle.
But yeah, hey man, it's so awesome. We've been talking for almost 3 hours. There's still 7 people here. Like that's amazing. That gets me every time. Where I'm like, there's people still here. I'm pretty sure we lost Randy a little while ago, but that's all right. Randy's been in here every time we've been on live. So is Nope and everybody else. So
Oh man. Really though, if you think about it, the last 20 minutes have just been like now we're just like
we're kind of we're easing off the throttle there. We're getting close to wrapping up.
I did throw a pretty big burn because even Jenna was like, dang. That whole bit though between you and Jenna with Civil War will never get old.
It won't. And trust me, Ed, she loves it.
Yeah,
she does. Like
just like the great as we call it, the greatest 15-second rant in YouTube history.
I'm telling you, when we can't do shows together, I still want to make sure that I have at least one show, and then if he's off, on Wednesday and Thursdays and Sundays,
yeah,
we can always do the shows then. But for the times that he just cannot get off any of those days. Anytime any one of you want to come on here, you let me know. You can send either one of us a friend request on Facebook or Instagram. I put my Instagram name in my title tonight. And I'll shoot you a link, and you can hop on here, and we can talk.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to do something here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do this for you, Eddie. So, since I'm not the biggest horror guy, I will see what I can do about trying to get into horror movies and start watching some stuff. And then we might make it a little bit during the live, like what horror movie did Sean watch recently? And I'll give you my thoughts on it. Because if you remember, we tried doing that a little bit with me for a while. Like we eased me in with like Cabin in the Woods because that's a horror comedy to an extent. Then I did Silent Hill, which Silent Hill was really good. I will admit that. I really do want to watch A Quiet Place.
I love the Quiet Place.
I want to watch those. Scream is more of a thriller.
It's slasher.
Sure. Yeah.
Need to get you to watch a good horror comedy, Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Okay. I'm trying to I know horror comedies are witty. I'm talking about like an actual horror movie. I don't know when I will be ready for Insidious as much as you have talked about that thing. So
yeah, it's going to be a while, Stevie. We just got a new car, so we're having to work kind of extra for a little while. So it's going to be a bit before we can actually.
So Eddie, I have watched Maximum Overdrive.
Silver Bullet, Eddie.
I've never actually heard of Silver Bullet. No lie. Christine, yes, I have heard of it. I've watched the original Omen. I've watched the original Poltergeist. I've seen Young Frankenstein or Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
That is the Gene Wilder movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched that. It's great.
Silver Bullet is awesome. It's Corey Haim. He's a kid in a wheelchair. Gary Busey plays his uncle that like gives him like a motorcycle wheelchair, and there's a werewolf. It's great.
What
It's
would you
great.
consider? What would Underworld be considered?
Action.
Okay.
It's an action movie. It's kind of like Blade. Blade's not really a horror movie. It's more action. Gary Busey is I want that kid's wheelchair because it's like a motorcycle wheelchair.
And I've watched both. I've watched the first two Paranormal Activities. White Noise, which was, I know it's supposed to be horror, not scary. The Ring. I'm trying to remember. No, The Ring. Yeah, I watched The Ring. The Grudge is the one though with the Japanese girl, like
Yes.
had Sarah Michelle Gellar. That movie was good.
Insidious, The Conjuring universe.
Yeah, I'm not watching any of the Conjuring universe. And as much as you talk about Insidious and the way they wrap those movies around. So,
Well, I've only seen the first two.
oh, okay.
And a lot of people like they either love Insidious or they hate it. There's kind of no middle ground with it.
Okay.
But for me, when we first watched it, that was the scariest PG-13 movie I had seen in a long time. And It Follows was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, The Ring is interesting. You know, what was it? What's that other movie? VHS?
The whole
that it?
series,
I was gonna say, I was wondering if that was any good.
there's some very good. There's some very good ones.
Okay. No, I get it, Eddie. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of stuff to that I can start watching and whatnot. So I'll look up some stuff and see what I can find, and maybe I'll tackle a movie. Are there any more Silent Hill movies other than the one?
There is. The second one isn't really, and The Howling is great. The second one isn't really as good.
Okay.
It's decent, but Silent Hill is also a video game. So those were video game movies,
Okay.
and then you have the 7 or 8 Resident Evil movies.
Yep. Okay. Trying to think of stuff. See, I will say this for folks who don't I don't like jump scares, but the movies that really freak me out, the reason why Paranormal Activity freaks me out is because I can actually see something like that happening for whatever reason. So that's why those movies freak me out the way they do.
That's my favorite vampire movie right there.
John Carpenter's.
Yep, John Carpenter's Vampires. That is my favorite vampire movie.
Didn't we sit a couple years ago before we moved out of the old house? Didn't we watch John Carpenter's was it Ghosts of Mars?
Yes.
We found that. I don't care what anybody says. That movie was not that bad.
No, I didn't think it was bad either.
So John Carpenter's Vampires. Okay.
Yeah, James Woods. One of the Baldwins. I can't remember which one. It's not Alec. And it's not Stephen.
William.
Yeah, it was William Baldwin.
Okay. The one that kind of looks like.
Yep, and Thomas Ian Griffith. 100% Ed. Little jetties or jaddies everywhere. Yeah, I love that movie. Like the beginning, it's such a cool. Just James Woods' character in that movie is amazing. Like his name is Jack Crow. I love that movie. One of my favorite vampire movies.
Oh, another classic horror movie that I have watched, The Shining.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Daniel Baldwin.
Oh,
dude, there's so many Baldwin brothers, dude. I never remember. I can't remember. It probably. I mean, he's probably right.
Oh,
I thought it was William.
speaking of Jay, did you see that Trap is on Max now already?
Yes. Yes. That's another one that is very divisive with people, but M. Night is kind of like that.
Let's see. Sorry, folks. I'm kind of looking through lists here. Oh, I remember watching the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre as
The
well.
Baldwin representative. You know, I heard John Larroquette said he got paid in weed for that narration that he did, because that's John Larroquette that's narrating the beginning of that movie.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yeah.
What about this one? So anybody tell me about Rosemary's Baby?
Oh, bro, that's old school right there.
Okay. Misery is one I've heard of, never seen.
Oh, Kathy Bates and James Caan or Caan.
Is that the one where? No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. There's the one movie where like he eventually he wants to suffocate her with a pillow.
Yeah, 'cause she breaks his ankles. Yeah, Rosemary's Baby is great. But that's like old school right there.
Of course, you got the Terrifier, which I've been seeing a bunch of that pop up.
See, I don't think I can do that one.
Ooh,
Like-
Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah. Those are I like, well, at least I like the first one. We watched one of the newer ones. My goodness. That's the really new one was the one was like the guy playing the creeper in that. I hope they keep him. I thought he did an amazing job. He looked like he was having so much fun, but that movie looked like they paid for it with pocket lint and some loose M&Ms.
I also see something here. It's got a really cool looking like poster. Trick or Treat.
Okay. Trick or Treat. I'm waiting for probably Ed to go nuts in the comments. Trick or Treat is a horror anthology that's like I want to say Anna Paquin is in one of them, but it's an anthology. It's super old.
Oh, okay.
Not super old. I'm sorry. It's not old, but it's definitely older. But yeah, it's an anthology with different kind of like the VHS stuff. Except VHS stuff is like people watching videotapes.
Oh, okay. I got you.
But this is just a little. One's Anna Paquin. I can't remember the other ones for some reason. One's with little kids on a bus.
All right. So I'll figure it out. I'll look up a link of horror movies. I'll start watching it. Oh, yeah. Nice. Okay, that's high praise from Eddie.
Yeah, it's a really good movie, really good horror movie. And I gotta agree with Nope and Eddie on Jeepers Creepers. I barely even remember 3, but I know that there was another one called like Reborn or something. Jenna and I watched. That's the one that I sent you the pocket lint M&Ms. That was the budget. Like the end of the movie was green screen. It was very bad, but the guy playing the creeper was awesome. Sam and his sucker. Yeah.
Huh.
Supposed to be doing. I thought they were going to be doing another one soon. I got a little mystery mini of Sam. I love it.
Nice. Oh yeah, I remember what is it? I haven't watched 30 Days of Night either.
30 Days a Night, another great vampire movie. Will never watch the second one ever again. It was not very good.
And then of course Hellraiser. I remember those movies more than Jason and Freddy. Hellraiser scared the out of me as a kid.
Yeah, and it's strange. Like, it's
What's
strange that Trick or Treat is on Kickstarter. Huh? That's weird. I
they
mean,
have
I think I already have it.
Blood Rain.
Well, I was gonna say I'm very weird when it comes to a lot of horror movies. Like, it's like I can have gore, but it's got to like it can't be way too gory. Like I don't mind gore, but like the Terrifier stuff, I don't think I could. I don't think I could really do. Like after the second Final Destination, the other ones just kind of got like a little too gory for me compared to the first movie. But things like the Piranha movie, oh wow, the second Trick or Treat, I knew. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. I might not be able to. I'm not gonna be able to back it, but I'm gonna at least check it out.
Nice.
Like the Piranha movies, they did Piranha 3D and then Piranha Double D.
Yeah.
Like, so back in the day, I watched the original Piranha movies, the 80 and the early 90s ones. I can handle that. I can handle people being eaten by things, okay? It feels like in the newer Piranha movies, there's like Final Destination moments on top of that, and I can't handle both of them. Like you either have people eating each other or people being eaten, or you have Final Destination like moments. I can't do both. And Hostel, I've never really been into the Hostel movies, and Human Centipede, I wasn't even going to remotely give a chance. Nothing about that looked interesting. The most interesting part of Human Centipede is the South Park episode, the Human Centipede. Like that's the only good thing that ever came out of that movie was that episode of South Park.
See, I remember watching Hostel, and I was like, meh with that one.
But
The
that's
Black-
kind of like Saw. Like I like the overarching story of Saw, but after a while, like I don't know, the first Saw movie to me was really solid. But, you know, it just feels like there's a lot of things that call themselves horror movies, but they're just gory and make no sense. Like I know a lot of people love Terrifier, and I know Art the Clown from a movie called All Hallows Eve, I think. That's where Art the Clown from the Terrifier movies first showed up. He was in that little series. Well, like seeing clips of that movie, I'm like, I can handle some stuff, but I draw the line where like when it gets way too gross. Like I can only do so much gross. Yeah, see, yeah, and that's a better way of what I was trying to say. Like I really like the first Saw movie. Then the rest of them, yeah, they became just like, let's see how far we can go. But I still watch them because I like the overarching story. So for those, it's not even the traps to me anymore. It's I want to learn the new twist because there was like always a twist in those movies.
Yeah.
Like I've also been very weird. Like watching Freddy and Jason movies and Hellraiser, and seeing like beheadings and disembowelments in those when I was a kid always made me a little queasy. Like doesn't bother me too much anymore. But then I watch movies where the hero does that to the villain, and it doesn't have the same effect on me. Like
No.
when I see a hero do it, it's like, yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Like
It's so weird.
some of the kills in the Rambo movies that they did when he got older.
Yeah.
Like in a horror movie, I'd be like scared shitless. There's my one cuss word for the stream. But you have freaking Sylvester Stallone or John Wick do some of the stuff that they do, and you're like, that is the most awesome thing I have ever seen.
Yeah, it's the strangest
Or
it's the
or
strangest thing to me, dude.
or bring in another one. Equilibrium. I'm going to slice your face off. That is one of the coolest kills
That
ever.
kill. I love that kill.
But in any other sense, you're just like,
Yeah. It's like watching 13 Ghosts and have the door cut the
yep,
lawyer in half. I was like, oh,
yeah.
that's gnarly.
I was a
But
13
see,
Ghosts is good. I like, at least I think it is. I like it.
yeah, I like it too. But yeah, it's always been a weird thing with me. I'm always like, when a bad guy, a villain does stuff like that, it's like, man, that's nasty. But like Dolph Lundgren in the first Expendables movie, oh, little low, blows that guy in half. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's
I so I'll tell you this now, Eddie, and I'm not very good about catching plot holes. Like I'm terrible about it. So because it and the reason why I say that is because I will either get a movie or a book just fine, or everything about it goes completely over my head. And then somebody will have to explain it to me, and then I'll be like, oh, okay. Like there was a book I didn't get it, so I hated it. Kyle explained it. Oh, it was that really kind of that Ever After. Alice,
Alice Ever
yeah, where she was like a drug addict. I didn't get that part of it until Kyle explained it. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
that's you're literally going to get that with me, Eddie. So if I like talk to you about it, and I'm like, I just didn't get it, you might say something, then it'll click with me, and I'll go, oh,
yeah,
that's me in a nutshell.
yeah.
Well, Jay, it's been 3 hours, 12 minutes, and 16 seconds.
Here's also Sean in a nutshell. How did I get in this nutshell?
You know that thing.
Yeah. Yep. So yes, it has been almost. Geez, man, we
We
we're,
went off
we're
the
getting to
rails.
the point. We're getting to the point, dude. If I didn't have stuff to do tomorrow, getting to the point now where I could probably not when I have somebody to talk to, I could probably stream for hours. Like hours longer than what we did now. Like just talking about comics and movies and stuff. Because again,
Imagine when we start getting into certain other universes. Can you imagine if we might? Maybe this could be the next topic. I'm telling you, folks, you want to listen to the two of us really, really go on? Let us talk about the Gears of War universe.
come on, Netflix. I'm still waiting on you, dude.
Yeah, we will go on that one.
We will. And they're one of the other things that I want to talk about the next time. We've only gotten two things out of the Valiant universe. I am really hoping with Resurgence, man. I am hoping because we started doing TikTok. Hydrasylum is on TikTok, and I've been uploading some of our videos. And one of the main things that got said on our Valiant Books You Should Read video is I'd read more Valiant if they'd stick around. I'm hoping
Was it
with
stick around, or was it? They also said if they wouldn't reboot.
that too. That
Yeah.
was another. That was like another one that was said. And I'm really hoping that with Alien Books now at the helm, that happens. That they stay around. Now, granted, what Valiant likes to do is they take 2 or 3 characters, maybe sometimes 4, do a couple trades, and then they switch to a couple more characters and work on it like that. We've gotten the Bloodshot movie, which, as much as I liked getting a Bloodshot movie, and I liked, you have bots pushing their channel. I liked the Bloodshot movie. I still think Vin Diesel was miscast. Again, that's another one where I think he was miscast. But there are more than one Bloodshot. So hopefully, if it ever gets rebooted, I love the fact that Vin had a passion for it, though. I will give him that. I love that Vin had a passion for it. That was the best part to me. That's why I'm not as harsh on him as I am on other people.
Yeah.
But there was the first one was named Angelo, and then he became Ray, and then they became other ones. So there's more than one. So I hope that eventually when they reboot, if they ever get to that point, they reboot it and they kind of follow the Bloodshot Unleashed line, because that was a really good series of Bloodshot.
Ninjak movie, an Exo movie.
Yeah, like use the Marvel formula for that one. I don't care. Give everyone a solo movie first. Two bots.
2 bots for you guys.
Well, yeah, because Ed's a genius. He just doesn't like to brag about it like he should. But that's another universe that I wish would get started. But we'll have to see, because before they team with Alien Books, I don't remember if that DMG still owns them, like the movie stuff. Because before they even got started, they made the mistake of selling off their properties. DC is literally the only one in the game, I think, that owns all the rights to their characters. Marvel still has some other characters tied up with Universal. But comic publishers out there, not, in case somehow any of you ever watch the tail end of this, do yourselves a favor. Don't sell your properties off. I know that's probably easier said than done. Somebody looking from the outside in doesn't know how any of this works. Keep your characters so you can start your universe off properly. That, or make sure that if you sell them off, there is a deal in there to where these characters can cross over. Because there's nothing worse than trying to do a comic book movie and there's important characters in that movie you can't use because this company over here owns them and don't want to play fair. Like, there's nothing worse than that.
Apparently, DMG still owns Valiant. Alien just partnered with them to help with distribution.
Okay.
If everything I'm reading is correct.
Well, I'm saying, just please, any small comic publisher out there that eventually wants to get into doing the movies and stuff. Okay, that's awesome. Michael Myers is now officially a Universal monster. Keep your characters, or make a deal to where, hey, I want to use this character in this movie, and we'll give you this percentage of the film cut, because you will make more money with your movie if you can use the characters that are supposed to be in the movie. Bloodshot, yeah, Bloodshot. That movie needs to be redone.
Yes, it does.
That needs to be redone. I've always said that, I was on their side when that movie came out. People were like, how are they going to do Civil War? I was like, it's Marvel. They'll figure something out. They always do. And then I watched it, and I've watched that movie multiple times. It's not like I hate the movie or anything. But I look at it, and I'm like, there are so many characters you're missing. Why didn't you just wait? Why didn't you just wait? Like, especially because it didn't feel like it was that long after, maybe a couple years, that you're going to get most of these characters now anyway. You could have done a proper Civil War. But then again, you waited too much longer. Some of your characters were going to age out.
Well, the weird thing was, though, is when you think about Civil War, a lot of what happened in that movie didn't even matter. It felt like after it anyway.
That's true.
It's like they were like, here is your introduction to Black Panther and Spider-Man, and that was all it felt like.
Yeah. But,
So,
it's one of those things where, this DC universe is about to get started. We're starting off Creature Commandos. And I know there's a lot of people out there like, nobody asked for that. That's fine if you feel that way. But again, I'm a person that I love seeing characters that I know nothing about. Because outside of again, I can't remember what it was called. I think it was a Creature Commandos, but outside of a DC showcase that I have on one of my random DC AU movies, it's the first time I've ever seen Creature Commandos, and I dug it. And I'm like, you know what? I want to learn more. So
What's the? I can't remember the name of the Authority. That's the other property I'm actually interested in. Because you've got the trade, volume 1 trade of that, right?
yeah,
I started reading a couple issues of that too, so I'm curious about that one.
see, that's another one that like the Guardians. You know, when it comes to Guardians, for some reason, I knew who Rocket and Groot were. Like I had seen them, I have heard of them before. I have read stuff with them. I didn't remember the rest of the Guardians. Authority's the same way. Like I knew who Midnighter and Apollo were, but for some reason I knew none of the other characters. But reading that book, I'm like, okay, this is so DC technically had the boys. It was under their Wildstorm, I think. It was under one of their imprints. I think it was Wildstorm, but I don't remember. Don't quote me. But you know, when Dynamite or whoever, I can't remember if it went directly to Dynamite, but whenever they got rid of the boys or they lost the boys, the Authority was kind of like their plug-in or whatever you want to call it, kind of like their next we're gonna try kind of thing. It's really good though. Like it's still pretty violent, not boys level violent, but still pretty violent, pretty solid book.
The Boys
Yeah,
is one of those, like, I feel like with that comment, they're like, what crazy thing can we think of that? Yeah, it's like they're chasing the next holy crap moment for that entire comic.
Yeah, and I
Even though I
agree.
haven't read any of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree that Civil War is better than the movie. The book is one. It's one of those instances where the book's better than the movie.
There's
And
a lot of instances where that's kind of true, it feels like.
yeah, I can tell you this: I've watched a little bit of Secret Invasion. The Secret Invasion comic is better than the show, and that made me very sad because that's the cast in that one was killer.
Yeah.
And I kind of have the same feeling, Ed. Except mine was if you would have told me back in the '90s that, and it was explained to me recently, but if you would have told me back in the '90s that Iron Man was a D-list character, I wouldn't have believed you.
If you told me back in the 90s that being a nerd and liking this stuff today and this would be the center of pop culture, I'd have been like, nah, man, if it isn't Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man, nobody cares.
Yeah.
And that was before I ever even read comics.
Yep, and I've been reading them a very long time. And again, I was a fortunate kid that people didn't pick on me. I was friends with everybody. I didn't get into magic and all that. But comics and wrestling I was down for. Yeah, I would have never believed that it would get the way that it is now.
Yeah, Mr. J. Burns, the most well-liked not people person on the planet.
I don't know how I do it, but it happens.
Yep. Oh man.
We got plenty of topics to talk about whenever. Like, when is your schedule changing? Do you know?
I think a week and a half. So I think next weekend might be my last Saturday off for a bit.
See, and that's how I knew about these characters that people called D-list. But Randy told me last time when I made mention of this, they were going off of sales, comic book sales. That's why people considered Iron Man and Hulk and Thor D-list characters because their comics didn't sell that well.
Ah,
And like, when Randy said that, I was like, okay, that makes sense because to me, I'm like, y'all, I watched these cartoons as a kid. These characters were not D-list to me. Like Iron Man with "I am Iron Man" or however that song went,
yeah, still good.
and then the Hulk cartoon, Fantastic Four cartoon, just the real Mandarin with the 10 rings,
Yeah.
like War Machine was awesome in that show.
See, I still maintain to this day the War Machine suit is better than the Iron Man suit. Yeah, I still love that suit.
That suit is so dope. Suit is so dope.
And yes, it's because he has a freaking minigun over his right shoulder.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man I could see being A-list just because, Spider-Man was the in the newspaper comics. Like he was in the comic strips with like Beetle Bailey and Family Circus and Boondocks and all that. See, War Machine wasn't D-list to me. I would call him B-list. I wouldn't have said he was A-list, but War Machine was kind of up there for me. Now, Falcon was kind of C D-list. Black Widow,
I didn't know that Daredevil was so low on the list too.
I know it's like
And
I said,
Daredevil's been my favorite since before I ever read comics.
but see, and that's what I tell people. That's what I tell people when they're like, they started this universe with D. Well, these characters weren't D-list to a lot of people. And it's weird how people can say, well, it's because of the sales.
To me, but my favorite thing though is when it's like you have to the people that comment when we do our castings, you have to use A-listers. Like MCU was not started with A-listers, folks. Period. Like maybe later when you got some newer characters that you might have considered the actor an A-list. Not really. RDJ was not A-list when he launched Iron Man.
No,
Chris
he was just coming back. He was just making a comeback.
Yep. Chris Evans was not an A-lister. Chris Evans was really just known as the guy in the camping movies outside of when he did Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
But he's just known as a parody guy.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Hemsworth had a 10-minute scene in Star Trek that he's Thor. Scarlet, frankly, had never really heard of her until she was Black Widow. That's just me being me, though. Who else is there? Mark Ruffalo, really didn't know him either. So
Yes.
it's like no offense, folks, but you could almost argue Cavill wasn't an A-lister when he was cast as Superman.
Count of Monte Cristo was the first
Yep.
movie I ever saw him in.
Would you consider Christian Bale an A-list actor when he was cast as Batman?
Yeah, I would.
So that's one of the rare instances right there.
But again, like for one, when I ask the people all the time, who would you cast, and we don't hear anything.
Yeah.
But it's also, A-listers don't just appear out of nowhere.
Nope.
You got to take a chance on people. Like that's great that you want to fill the DCU with nothing but A-listers, but I'd like to see some new talent, and I think we're getting that with Corn Sweat.
Yes.
Like Rachel, I can speak on because she's amazing in Marvelous Miss Maisel. She's amazing in that show.
She is Maisel in that show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She and that show. The little bit I watched of that show was good.
Yeah.
Hell, okay. Well, I guess if you want to talk about A-listers and Batman, Affleck was an A-lister when he was cast. So, and people hated on the fact that you had Affleck. So,
yeah. And yes, Ed, I remember the Electric Company. I also remember oh my God, Hammond. Nicholas Hammond, Spider-Man show. His last name is the worst though. especially for Superman. Cavill?
Or if you are Dan Wickline, Cavill.
Oh yeah, Cavill. I love Dan. I love Dan. Yeah, the thing about it, Nope, is the thing that always sticks out to me is him talking to his dad about something, and then he runs over to his balcony. He's like, Rome, like because it's young Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Like still a young Henry Cavill. Rome, like that. For some reason, that in particular sticks out to me.
Yep. Oh god.
Well, we got a lot of stuff we can talk about next time.
Yep. Maybe for another 3.5 hours.
I'm telling you, dude, I can't believe we were still going. I still can't believe there are people here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to end it soon though because I have not eaten today.
Yeah. Oh, Corn Sweat, I got you. You said he's new, give him a chance, but worst last name. Well, yeah. Like I thought it's like Corn Sweat, but Corn Sweat.
Yeah. It's almost like people are accentuating the N. Corn Sweat.
Well, I think he's missing an E in there because I think it's actually spelled Corn Sweat. I don't think it's spelled Corn Sweat. I think it's Corin Sweat.
Yeah. I don't know.
Just Halloween candy for me.
All right. Well, I'm definitely going to have to start putting a period on this particular live because I am getting very hungry.
Yeah. But just want to thank everyone for being here. Like this is super awesome. It's so fun to do this. You know, I see a lot of you on Friday and throughout the week. That was deliberate to pull off my joke. See, he spelled it like that on purpose.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't get to interact with everybody. The one thing I dislike about the schedule that I've been on is I get to do nothing with watching the experience much nowadays, and I hate it.
Which you should definitely be watching the experience. If you're new to the chat, if you're watching this, you happen to catch us on the rewind, like it's randomly in your feed for some reason, you're not already following the experience. That is my job. That is my place of work. That's what I love to do.
Please help pay James bills.
Yes, that's how I feed the puppo and my wife and myself. Fun shows, those cool covers that you saw, the Flash one. Got it from the dude who got it from Comic Collectibles, which is on Monday and Wednesdays. Check out the shorts on YouTube for not only us, Hydrasylum, but for the experience. We got Castle's Corner is coming back. We dropped one of his videos the other day. So make sure you do that. Hail to the Trivia King.
Yes. That is Eddie's pretty much, that's your nickname, dude. Trivia King.
Yeah, because he is. I mean,
yes, he is.
So we are going to bounce. We appreciate all of you being here. If you're watching on the rewind and you made it this far, you're a freaking champ for one thing.
Yeah.
But everybody else, if you can hit that that subscribe button, if you're not subscribed yet, it'd be appreciated. Hopefully we can catch you in the next one. We should have some shorts and maybe some long form stuff coming out this week. Sean, and if anybody wanted to contact you, because I have my Instagram up here on my name thing, where can people find you?
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't even know. I can't remember what my Instagram is. I know it's I am Shields. I just can't remember where the dot is, if it's in there at all.
I am Shields.632.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
On Instagram. So that's the best place to find me, although admittedly I've not been very active on social media at all. So later, Mr. Note. But
Make two, good night. Eddie, good night.
But really, the best place to find us anywhere is Hydrasylum on Facebook, IG, Threads, and TikTok.
Yeah, it's Hydrasylum.comics on TikTok.
You know, because TikTok's got to be weird. Freaking tick takers.
The tick takers. All right, folks, we are bouncing. I gotta get myself ready here so I can actually get to the controls.
Next week, what I'm going to do to make Jay even happier for the stream is I'm going to send him money. He's going to have an import.
Oh, that's gonna be.
And then if you want to see Jay at his happiest, give him an import.
Hell yeah! All right, folks, we're dipping out. Hope you all have a great rest of your weekend, and hopefully, I'll see you during the next week. Later. Well, maybe. All right, here we go for real this time.